This great emperor, the absolute unit, spent 100,000 years in closed-door cultivation, chasing after that elusive immortality. But now, fresh out of cultivation, he's hit with the bombshell. Only 3 days left to live. The only cheat code to extend his crumbling lifespan? Get his family members to tie the knot and start procreating. Like, yesterday? He logically assumed that an imperial clan, passed down for countless millennia, would have a population boom by now. Just casually have a few great-grandsons, and wouldn't he just respawn on the spot? But the very next second, looking at the 108 remaining bachelors, bro just entered maximum contemplation mode. The Grand Elder? Been cultivating a virginity art for 3,000 years, achieved a pure yang sword physique. That's dedication, I guess. Then there's the Shen Zi, legendary for being an iron-straight cultivator who flat-out rejected every single saintess from the 9 heavens 10 lands. Even the patriarch, for the sake of the clan, cut off all romantic ties 5,000 years ago. Talk about commitment issues. Or lack thereof. Looking at those stern, righteous faces below, young and old, all radiating, single is glorious, energy, his head started buzzing like a beehive. And this is the clan survival crisis you were talking about? Bro, seriously? Patriarch Li Zhantian, with a solemn face, puffed out his chest and declared, "Old ancestor." It's because the neighboring royal clan's old ancestor just came out of seclusion and is loudly demanding to annex our Li clan's ore mine. Please, old ancestor, lead us to slaughter them. Slaughter your ancestors. You hear that? Our boy finally snapped. In a fit of pure, unadulterated rage, a massive, sky-covering golden hand descended from the heavens. The next second, with an earth-shattering boom, Li Zhantian, a damn quasi-emperor, was pancaked directly into the ground. The entire place went pin-drop silent. Every single elder and disciple was absolutely shell-shocked. "Listen up!" he roared, hovering mid-air, his boundless emperor's might instantly blanketing the 9 heavens 10 lands. All the disciples trembled like newborns, instantly dropping to their knees, shouting, "We obey the old ancestors' decree! From today, the clan enters level 1 combat readiness. All cultivation missions are suspended. Immediately compile a list of all highly talented female cultivators for me." An elder cautiously approached. "Old ancestor, is this for harvesting and replenishing?" "Harvesting and replenishing my ancestors. This is a marriage alliance." Pointing at the horde of bachelors below, he roared, "Within 3 days, I want to see that Shen Zi married off. If you fail, this emperor will break every single one of your legs and hang you at the mountain gate to sun-dry." The moment these words dropped, the entire Ling clan erupted into an absolute frenzy. No one, not a single soul, expected the old ancestors' first decree after seclusion to be forced marriages? Right at that moment, a panicked guard flew in, shouting news. The Shen Zi, Li Aotian, at the Yaoqi Grand Assembly, just made the Yaoqi saintess cry, and now he's actually drawing his sword, about to chop her down. Hearing this, our great emperor almost died of pure, unadulterated fury. The Yaoqi saintess is the cultivation world's top-tier, white, rich, beautiful catch. She's literally a walking, breathing lifespan mobile bank. And that absolute idiot dares to chop her? Rebellious brats. All of them are rebellious brats. This old ancestor must personally go clean up this mess himself. With that, he took one step, directly shattering the very fabric of space. Meanwhile, at the Yaoqi Holy Land, today was the Donghuang's once-in-a-century Grand Peach Assembly. Immortal qi swirled, and jade tables were laden with heavenly delicacies. But suddenly, the vibe at the heart of the Grand Assembly just nosedived, chilling everything to a frozen standstill. Everyone was absolutely dumbfounded, gawking at the 2 figures in the center. Our boy, clad in black robes with an ancient heavy sword strapped to his back, was none other than the current divine son of the Li family, Li Aotian, and facing him, the Yaoqi saintess Lin Qingshu, in her rainbow feather robe, was absolutely bawling her eyes out. In her trembling hands, she held out a mandarin duck embroidered sachet, her voice thick with emotion as she poured out her heart. This was, without a doubt, a full-blown love confession, instantly turning the surrounding prodigies red-eyed with jealousy. And then, Li Aotian finally made a move. He reached out and took the sachet. Wait, is this happening? Lin Qingshu's eyes instantly lit up with a spark of hope. But then, a sudden RIIIP echoed. Li Aotian, this absolute savage, just ripped the sachet into 2, tossed it to the ground, and stomped on it. The entire damn hall went absolutely dead silent. Lin Qingshu's smile froze stiff on her face, and then the tears started flowing for real. Senior brother Li Aotian, this absolute sigma, just gave her a frosty glare, chin haughtily tilted. "Women only slow down my sword unsheathing speed. Now scram! You're literally in the way of me studying the sword marks on that stone steel." The second those words left his mouth, the entire hall absolutely exploded. Countless male cultivators had flames practically shooting from their eyes, just itching to rush forward and choke the life out of this arrogant fool. Lin Xingzhu was so furious, she practically wanted to self-destruct right there. She's a full-on saintess, and this clown just publicly humiliated her? Li Aoqian, you and I are now sworn enemies under the heavens. An elder from Yaoqi slammed his hand down, instantly rising, and the crushing pressure of a quasi-emperor descended like an entire mountain range onto Li Aoqian. But get this, Li Aoqian didn't even flinch. Instead, his battle intent just absolutely ignited. Yet, just as he was about to unleash his sword and clap back, a sudden, deafening boom ripped through the air. The Yaoqi Sacred Lands mountain guarding formation instantly shattered. A world-shaking surge of Emperor's might, completely unannounced, just descended. Under that monstrous pressure, the Yaoqi elder who was just flexing a second ago was now flattened against the ground, totally unable to move a muscle. Bro, an actual great emperor just descended? How is this even possible? Wait, didn't all the current great emperors already peace out to the ancient starry path? Everyone looked up at the sky in absolute horror, only to see the heavens rip open. From the void, a gigantic scaled foot emerged, wearing some kind of boot. And then, with physics-defying speed, it delivered a perfectly aimed kick, straight to the back of Li Aoqian's neck, just as he was about to puff out his chest again. Wham! Li Aoqian turned into a literal human meteor, face first, and plowed himself straight into the sacred peach garden dirt. Immediately after, a furious, earth-shattering roar boomed across the heavens. This old man told you to go on a blind date, and you dared to go look at some stupid sword marks? You absolute disgrace. As the dust finally settled, the figure of the powerhouse was revealed. One hand clutching an emperor weapon, still sheathed, while the other casually yanked a dog-beaten Li Aoqian right out of the crater he'd made. The entire assembly was utterly, absolutely speechless. The Yaoqi quasi-emperor elder, still pinned, tremblingly lifted his head, eyes wide. Great Emperor Changsheng? Sir, didn't you, die 100,000 years ago? You completely ignored him, and just grabbed Li Aoqian, brought him over, and gave him 2 quick slaps. No women in your heart, huh? Doesn't affect your sword speed, right? Does it? You dare tear a sachet? This old man chased your great-grandmother back in the day and didn't even get one. Truly a good-for-nothing born into fortune, yet completely clueless. After the beatdown, you took a deep breath and instantly transformed. The murderous, ferocious look vanished, replaced by a kind, gentle expression, even a little fawning. Then you turned to look at Lin Xingzhu, who was completely dumbfounded, and gently said, this little lass looks fertile indeed. Clearly destined for many healthy children. Little girl, don't cry. This brat has a screw loose. Let me introduce myself. I'm his old ancestor. This marriage? Your old ancestor here approves. The moment those words dropped, the scene went dead silent. Everyone felt their brains short-circuiting. The legendary Changsheng Great Emperor, who'd wipe out entire clans for a single disagreement, was actually back from the dead, and the first thing he did after reviving was beat up his own descendants, then propose marriage to the Yaoqi saintess? This style was a little off. Lin Xingzhu blinked her tear-soaked eyelashes, a look of utter bewilderment on her face. Old ancestor. Right. Call me old ancestor, it's more intimate, you said, then waved your hand, helping Lin Xingzhu up, even thoughtfully wiping the tears from the corner of her eyes. Little girl, that scoundrel tearing your sachet just now was completely wrong. To apologize, and to show the sincerity of our Lin family. Clang! A heavy sound echoed as you pulled a massive item from your sleeve and tossed it onto the jade table. It was a small pagoda, swirling with 9-colored immortal light. The ultimate emperor armament, Haoshan Pagoda. The Yaoqi Holy Lord, who had just arrived, almost knelt on the spot when he saw it. Indeed, it's just a random trinket, you casually waved it off like trash, consider it compensation for the sachet. Furthermore, you said, flicking your sleeve again, and an immortal divine herb, exuding a rich medicinal fragrance and shaped like a mythical beast, appeared. 3 volumes of Great Emperor scriptures, shimmering with profound Tao runes, and top-grade spirit stones piled into mountains, instantly transformed the Yaoqi Peach Banquet into a glittering mountain of treasures. This is the betrothal gift. You smiled subtly at the Yaoqi Holy Lord. In-law, do you think it's enough? If not, I'll go rob the neighboring prince's estate for some more. No, borrow some. At this moment, the Yaoqi Holy Lord felt his heart was about to leap out of his chest. This wasn't a betrothal gift. This was clearly trying to buy out the entire Yaoqi. But even though he was tempted, he still hesitated a bit. Great Emperor, shouldn't we? What's more, our boy Aotian's opinion clearly didn't matter just now. You just straight up cut him off. Then, you whipped your head around and shot a death glare at Liao Tian, who had literally just managed to stand up. Kids, spill it. You want to marry this chick, or what? Liao Tian shook his head, his neck still ridiculously stiff. Great ancestor, this junior wants to become a man who only plays the field. Hearing that, you didn't even bother with a second word, immediately drawing your sword and pressing it right against his neck. Only play what now? Say that again. Really think it through this time, you declared. This old ancestor's hand might tremble. If this blade comes down, perhaps our Liao family will need a new divine son. Feeling the chilling, killing intent radiating from the blade, Li Aotian, terrified for the first time in his life, visibly gulped. He then stiffly, agonizingly slowly, turned his head to Lin Qingxue and said, That sachet is quite beautiful. Could you embroider another one for this junior? You nodded, utterly pleased with yourself. You sheathed your sword, then turned to the Yao Qi Shengju. See? This whole mutual love thing is settled. They're consummating the marriage tonight. Great Emperor, this is too rushed. We haven't even picked an auspicious date. But you, our absolute unit, gave him zero chance to refuse, practically declaring, why pick a day when today is the day? After all, the lifespan shown on your system panel was ticking down with every single second. Guards, you roared, then reached out and violently grabbed into the void. The Lid family elders, who were literally just chilling and watching the drama unfold, were immediately yanked out of thin air. This place is now under lockdown. Not even a fly is getting out of here. With an overwhelming, heaven-shaking aura, you pointed at Lin Qingxue and barked your orders. This, you fools, is your new young madam. Escort her back to the Li family immediately. The elders, every single one of them, looked like they'd just been injected with pure hype. The old ancestor is too OP. He just straight up kidnapped a holy maiden. Now that's the style of our imperial clan. Many of the Yaoqi female cultivators found this completely unreasonable. But after glancing at the mountain of betrothal gifts and then at your world-shattering aura, not a single one dared to utter a word of protest. And so, under the utterly flabbergasted gazes of all the geniuses across the entire eastern wasteland, Li Aotian, who was famously known as the #1 straight man across all of eternity, carried the Yao Qi Shengnu on his back, proudly walking the road back home. Tonight, the everlasting Lai family was absolutely not going to sleep. The entire divine island was lit up like broad daylight by countless night-luminous pearls. Countless red silk sashes fluttered elegantly between the various floating islands. Guests from the major holy lands were all ushered to the heavenly halls for the banquet. But every single one of them looked like they'd just seen a ghost. I mean, seriously, who's ever heard of a great emperor reviving, and on his first day back, beating his own descendant half to death, then forcing him to consummate a marriage? Meanwhile, inside the Sword Comprehension Pavilion, located within the Divine Son's personal chambers, a place where Li Aotian usually spent his days comprehending swords, it had now been forcibly renovated into a bridal chamber. Meanwhile, outside the wall, 108 heads, perfectly lined up, were peeking out from the bushes. Grand Elder Li Tong's face was flushed crimson, like a cooked liver. Does the old ancestor really have to go this far? If word of this gets out, is your old face truly more important than the Li family's entire legacy? Our boy still didn't turn around. His hand gripped a spirit recording stone, meticulously adjusting for the absolute best angle. Shh! Keep quiet. That kid. He moved. Hearing that, the elders behind him immediately held their breath. Hundreds of eyes glued to the scene unfolding inside the room. At this moment, the atmosphere in the room was weird AF. Li Aotian stood in the middle of the room, while Lin Qingxue sat primly on the wedding bed, clutching her red wedding dress with both hands. Seconds ticked by, and finally Li Aotian made a move. He suddenly prostrated himself on the ground, tapping the floor with his finger. Lin Qingxue's heart immediately began to pound. My love, what are you doing? Li Aotian looked up, his expression dead serious. Shh, don't make a sound. This floor, it sounds hollow underneath. Hollow? Lin Qingxue was dumbfounded. Indeed. Li Aotian, looking all serious and analytical, declared that based on his many years of honed experience, this hollow structure was typically used to conceal poison gas, hidden crossbow bolts, or even self-destructing formations. Immediately after, he pulled out a formation flag from his robes and began moving swiftly around the room. Outside the wall, watching this spectacle, our old ancestor immediately felt his vision go dark. You absolute buffoon. That's the Noan Ngung Dian. It's a warmth-gathering formation, specifically activated so they wouldn't get cold. Inside the room, Li Aotian was busy for a good half hour, eventually fortifying the entire bridal chamber into an impenetrable steel fortress. Lin Qingxue gazed at the shimmering defensive light beams surrounding them, feeling both helpless and utterly amused. Yet, a tiny spark of warmth flickered in her heart. My love, it's safe now. Temporarily at least. Li Aotian wiped the sweat from his brow, finally making his way to the bedside. Lin Qingxue's heart immediately leaped into her throat. Shyly, she closed her eyes, anticipating that sacred, intimate moment. Who would have thought Li Aotian would only reach out a finger to extinguish the burning candle. The next second, the entire room was plunged into utter darkness. Lin Qingxue immediately panicked. What's wrong? Too bright. It'll expose our target too easily. Liao Tian's voice cut through the oppressive darkness. And besides, the smoke from those burning red candles could totally mess with our lung meridians. For the sake of our cultivation, we better snuff out. Meanwhile, outside the walls, the elders who witnessed this started frantically massaging their philtrums, trying not to pass out. One hot-headed elder even drew his saber directly. Old ancestor, I can't take this blasphemy anymore. Let me go in there and chop him to pieces. Calm yourselves. It's not time for absolute despair just yet. You, take a deep breath. Suppress that inner rage. If soft tactics fail, we'll resort to harder measures. Bring that thing out. The Grand Elder, upon hearing this, trembled as he pulled a purple gourd from his robes. Engraved on it were 3 prominent characters. He, Huang Sanyue. Blow it all in there, now, you commanded, without a shred of hesitation. Immediately, a wisp of insidious pink smoke silently seeped through the door crack, bypassing the heavily fortified bridal chamber formations. In the dim light, Liao Tian, who was cultivating cross-legged, suddenly felt his nose twitch. What in the world is that scent? The very next second, a searing heat erupted from his dantian, causing even his sword heart, normally as unyielding as bedrock, to violently tremble. Oh no, this is bad. It's a toxin. And it somehow bypassed my formation? Liao Tian was utterly horrified. He tried to circulate his spiritual energy to dispel the poison, but realized the more he tried, the hotter his body burned. And worse, the exquisitely beautiful face of Lin Qingxue began to appear frantically in his mind. So hot. On the bed, Lin Qingxue also let out a soft moan. She already harbored deep feelings for Liao Tian, and now, all semblance of her reason completely vanished. Immediately after, in the darkness, the sounds of tearing silk and a primitive rhythmic harmony began to echo. Listening intently to the commotion inside, Yu, standing outside, let out a satisfied sigh of relief. Ding! Detected successful consummation of the clan's grand wedding. Congratulations, host. You've completed the mission. Reward: 500 years of lifespan and the earth tier cultivation technique. Yin Yang Zhao Hua Jing. Fragment of the extreme Dao imperial weapon, Duo Zi Duo Futa, and the special title, Golden Matchmaker. After equipping, matchmaking success rate increased by a whopping 50%. The very next second, a massive, vibrant stream of life essence instantly surged into your body. Your chi and blood, which were already slightly depleted, roared back to life, boiling once more, as if you'd instantly returned to your peak youth. Exhilarating. Absolutely exhilarating. Feeling the sheer power surge through your veins, you couldn't help but let out a triumphant roar. Alright, let's go. On the way back, with your mood soaring, you casually pulled out the family's dreaded list of eligible singles. Next victim. Ah. Your gaze scrolled down, finally locking onto the second name on that damn list. The very next morning, our boy led a squad of fierce elders, their auras practically radiating menace, straight to a nameless, desolate mountain in the back mountain range. This mountain had a bizarre name. Gao Dao Feng. From a distance, every rock on it looked polished to a mirror sheen, as if someone was paranoid about ambushes in even the smallest cracks. The mountain was also riddled with dense array patterns. Staring at this massive, headless turtle shell of a defense, your mouth couldn't help but twitch. Bro, is this where Li Gu lives? The accompanying second elder, looking utterly helpless, chimed in, Yes, esteemed ancestor, it is. Apparently that kid's entire personality did a 180 after he got stung by a bee when he was 6. His cultivation philosophy? If he just hides deep enough, even the god of death won't find him. What an absolute goofball. Hearing that absolute nonsense, you let out a chilling snort. Immediately, you took a step forward, channeled your chi straight to your dantian, and unleashed a thunderous roar. Li Gao, your ancestor is here. Get your bony butt out here for this great emperor, who spent a whole 100,000 years in secluded cultivation, all for the sake of true immortality, and who, upon just waking up, suddenly discovered he only has 3 days left to live. The only way to extend my lifespan is to rely on my clan members getting married and having kids. I figured, with an imperial clan established for countless millennia, the population would have exploded by now. Popping out a few great-grandkids should instantly give me my life back, right? But the very next second, looking at the 108 remaining bachelors, you spiraled into a furious contemplation. Li Gao, you're dead meat. I am your ancestor. Get out here for me. Your voice boomed like a literal clap of thunder. Yet the mountain gave absolutely zero reaction. Nada. After what felt like an eternity, a tiny crack suddenly appeared on the mountain, and out poked something resembling a periscope. Instantly, a flat, mechanical, totally electronic voice echoed forth. Warning! Warning! High-energy life form detected. Identify yourself. Please state the password within 3 seconds. Failure to comply will result in collective annihilation. Hearing that? Veins practically bulged on your forehead. Li Gao, are you blind? Can't you see who it is? I'm your great-great-great-grandpappy. HMPH. Don't even think about trying to trick me, the mechanical voice retorted, clearly full of, everyone knows that Changsheng Dadi kicked the bucket 100,000 years ago. You're either an outer realm heavenly demon in disguise, or that nosy old ancestor from the neighboring Wang family, trying to trick me out so you can ambush me and steal my treasures. No sooner had the words left its mouth, Gao Daofeng immediately activated its full defense mode. Countless ominous black muzzles poked out from within the mountain's depths, and then, talisman-infused smoke arrows rained down from the sky, as if they were free samples. Chaos! Utter chaos! This absolute farce made you laugh, despite yourself. A magnificent great emperor, being treated as some random villain by his own grandson? This clown seriously needed a reality check. Too lazy to even dodge, you simply extended a hand and grabbed at the void. The very fabric of space instantly froze solid. All those attacks raining down just froze mid-air and turned to dust. And that giant golden hand, blotting out the sky, just snatched up the entire Caodao Peak. For yours truly no less. The very next second, the earth quaked and the mountains groaned. Under the horrified stares of the elders, our boy just yanked the entire mountain out of the ground and started shaking it like a rattling drum. You gonna come out, or what? Deep within the mountain, a desperate plea for help. Lin Gao's pathetic shriek finally rang out. Stop shaking, I'll come out, I'll come out. Hearing that, our boy finally stopped, casually tossing the mountain back to the ground. With a deafening crash, the mountain split open with a massive crack, and an iron barrel, armed to the teeth, rolled out. This dude was rocking 9 layers of soft armor, topped with heavy Xuan Tai armor, a spirit sense-proof helmet on his head, windfire wheels under his feet. In his hands, 2 peak-grade Earth Escape talismans, primed and ready to pop. It was Li Gao, of course. The moment he rolled out, he tried to bolt, but was immediately frozen solid by a body immobilization spell. And where do you think you're going, buddy? Our boy walked over and tapped on his helmet like a watermelon. Alright, shed this turtle shell for me. No! This is my true form. If I take it off, I'll literally die. Li Gao wailed and bawled. Old ancestor, spare my life. I admit my sins. I shouldn't have doubted you, but I seriously, truly don't want to go outside. It's super dangerous out there. There are meteorites falling, powerful experts trying to seize bodies, and even female cultivators trying to drain your essence. It's too terrifying. Female cultivators, you say? The essence-draining kind? Upon hearing this, our boy's eyes lit up. Well said. Guess what? This old ancestor is here today specifically to deliver you to be drained. Wait, what? Lin Gao was stunned, speechless. Our boy casually pulled out a portrait from his robes. The woman in the portrait wore fiery red robes. Thunder and lightning crackled beneath her feet, and her gaze was sharp enough to devour souls. Li Gao took one look and immediately started trembling like a leaf. This is the saintess of the demonic sect, Sudaki. Old ancestor, why do you have her portrait out? Pleft, what? What? She's your fiancée, you absolute clown. Hearing that bombshell, Li Gao's eyes rolled back, and he promptly fainted on the spot. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the demonic sect, the top villainous force of the Eastern Barons, was nestled deep within the eerie, bone-chilling bone mist abyss. Normally, wicked winds howled through this place, and not a single blade of grass grew within a 1,000-mile radius. Cultivators who passed by usually wished for 2 extra legs just to sprint away faster. But today, the area was surprisingly bustling. Noisy footsteps made the very ground tremble, and our boy was leading the charge. On his shoulder, he carried a massive, ancient, and ridiculously heavy bronze coffin. Every single step he took left a crater in the ground. Right behind him, 108 battle-hardened warriors from the Ling clan, led by Great Elder Ling Tong, were armed to the teeth. Each and every one of them flashed with dazzling spirit artifacts, radiating an oppressive killing intent. But the star of the show, right in the middle of this menacing force, was Li Gao, bound tight. Our boy's face was as gloomy as a funeral, escorted by 2 burly guards like a common stray dog. Meanwhile, at the Heavenly Demonic Sect's main headquarters, things were officially a chaotic mess. A scout came rolling and crawling into the main hall, bawling his eyes out and screaming, "Bad news! Big trouble! The Li clan is at our gates!" A sharp "Sirak" echoed as the wine cup in Sectmaster Shu Lia's hand instantly shattered. He abruptly stood, his quasi-emperor aura exploding outwards without an ounce of reservation. The scout, oblivious to the reason for the outburst, only trembled as he reported. The one leading them. It's the longevity Great Emperor. His killing intent soared to the heavens, and he was carrying a massive coffin. This can only spell disaster. Hearing this, Shu Li's rage instantly made his hair stand on end. He immediately ordered the activation of the sect-protecting Grand Formation and summoned all disciples to prepare for an all-out battle. In an instant, demonic energy surged throughout the heavenly demonic sect. Countless demonic cultivators swarmed onto the city walls, forming a battle-ready formation, awaiting the enemy. Meanwhile, outside the mountain gate, our boy looked up at the rising black energy shield and the dense crowd of cultivators, his brows furrowed in confusion. Bro really put up a defense for this? Did they know I was coming and organize a special welcoming ceremony? So our boy just shrugged, then slammed that bronze coffin right onto the ground. A resounding thud echoed as the ground instantly cracked into several fissures. Then, our boy cleared his throat, channeling his spirit energy into his dantian, and bellowed inside. Listen up, you little demon brats inside. This old master has specially brought a generous gift today to discuss a major life event with your sect master. From the city walls, Xu Li heard this and let out a cold laugh. Li Changsheng, cut the hypocritical act. Righteous and demonic are mortal enemies. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Xu Li scoffed. What does my heavenly demonic sect have to listen to? But our boy just smirked. Why fight when I'm here to propose marriage? Propose? Marriage? Xu Li was dumbfounded, then immediately flew into a rage. You brought so many people, carried a coffin, and tied up my men, and you call that proposing marriage? Do you take me for someone who belongs in a coffin? Our boy looked down at the ancient bronze coffin, then slowly realized. It does kind of look like a coffin. Misunderstanding, bro, our boy casually stated. This is a betrothal gift. With that, our boy raised a hand and slapped the coffin. K-Chunk! The lid popped open, and in an instant, chaotic golden light shot up into the heavens. Inside, they saw an immortal medicine root, shaped just like a qilin, 3 ancient emperor scriptures radiating grand Tao energy, and 10 glistening divine essence stones, shimmering with supreme source power. This light was so blinding, it directly illuminated even the heavenly demonic sect's gloomy, sect-protecting grand formation. All the demonic cultivators on the city walls collectively lost their voices. Every single one of them stood there, mouths agape, drooling onto the ground. Xu Li's eyes nearly popped out of his skull. That murderous aura he had just moments ago instantly transformed into pure, unadulterated greed. Seeing that his point was made, our boy smirked and asked, "So, is this enough sincerity for you?" Then, he bluntly stated his true purpose. "I'm here to propose marriage to your holy maiden Su Daqi, on behalf of my—" Hearing this, Xu Li gulped so hard you could hear it. He whipped his head around to look at the elders beside him, and what did he see? Those old farts were nodding their heads like madmen, begging him to quickly sell off their saintess. Oh wait, not sell. Marry her off. Xu Li took a deep breath, trying to cling to the last shred of dignity a sect master could have, then waved his hand and declared it a done deal. Meanwhile, Li Gao, who was tied up at the back of the group, despairingly closed his eyes and sighed. Even the sect master of the Tianmo Jiao would betray for money? This world truly has no justice. Just then, a seductive voice, laced with a thick, murderous aura, echoed from the depths of the Tianmo Jiao. Sell me for some pills? Old man, did I give you permission? The very next second, a blood-red blade aura suddenly swept across the sky, carrying an earth-shattering momentum, and slashed straight towards Li Gaogu. Want to marry this young lady? First, ask if my blade agrees. Su Daji's blade had absolutely no intention of leaving Li Gao alive. In her eyes, anyone who dared to scheme against her was dead meat. Facing this life-reaping strike, Li Gao's survival instinct exploded, and the ropes binding him immediately snapped. Immediately after, a loud BZZZT echoed, and 360 streams of golden defensive light appeared from the sky, enveloping him like an unbreakable, colossal golden egg. Not just that, all sorts of protective items on his body, like his heart-guarding mirror, calming talismans, and damage reflection armor, were fully activated at this very moment. All that could be heard was a clang as the heaven-destroying, blood-red blade aura struck the golden egg, sending sparks flying everywhere. Yet, it only managed to shatter 3 layers of armor. Su Daji was utterly stunned. Her strike held the power to slay a saint, so how could it not even break through this kid's defenses? Seeing this scene, you couldn't help but slap your thigh in delight. See? I told you this kid was good at taking hits. Saintess, this is a rare, top-grade punching bag. You could totally take him home and use him for training. Hearing these words, Su Daji narrowed her eyes, a hint of interest flashing within them. Alright then, I'll give you a chance, but I'll teach you a very special lesson. If you can survive through tonight, I will acknowledge you. Hearing those 2 words, special lesson, Li Gao's face went pale. He stammered, asking if it was going to be a tiger chair or chili water. Who would have thought Su Daji would just grin like a little devil, only saying it would be even more stimulating than that? In a flash, night fell. The atmosphere in the Tianmo Jiao saintesses' bedchambers was eerily bizarre. On the walls hung all sorts of instruments, some terrifying, some a little embarrassing. At this moment, Li Gao was still curled up inside his golden egg, like a terrified turtle retracting its neck. He even pasted a note on the surface that read, In secluded cultivation, please do not disturb. In contrast, Su Daiji had changed into a thin, red silk nightgown, lazily lounging on the bed and playfully twirling a specially crafted whip. Her soft voice then asked, "Is my dear husband planning to hide in that egg for his entire life?" Li Gao's nervous, muffled voice responded from within the egg. He swore that unless she guaranteed not to kill him, not to drain his qi, and not to use him for bone refinement, he absolutely would not come out. Sudaki just tsked with a roll of her eyes, then poof! She was right next to the egg. And poof again, a long, dark needle appeared in her hand. She warned him. 3 seconds, egg boy, or I'm turning you into a human pincushion. Our boy Li Gu was fully shook this time. By 2, he was already bawling, begging her to chill. He then meticulously peeled off layer after layer of protective shields. It took a full 100 layers before his true form was finally revealed. Despite all that, he was still wearing soft armor and clutching a teleportation talisman, cowering in a corner while nervously eyeing Sudaki. Witnessing his facing a final boss pose, Sudaki couldn't hold back her laughter. That smile bloomed like 1,000 flowers, captivating hearts. Even Li Gao, who'd never even talked to a girl, was utterly mesmerized. Without missing a beat, Sudaki stepped closer, lifted Li Gao's chin with her finger, and softly confessed that she actually found him quite all right. She preferred his genuine fear to those hypocritical gentlemen who only ever talked about benevolence and morality. Confronted with this sudden, intense closeness, Li Gu could only stutter. "What exactly do you want to do?" A sly glint flashed in Sudaki's eyes. She stated bluntly, "Duh, I want to get down to business." The very next second, before his brain could even process it, she shoved him, pinning Li Gao against the wall, then pressed her entire body against his. Just as Li Gao let out a terrified shriek, Sudaki gave him zero chance to escape, slamming her lips onto his. Li Gao didn't get his cultivation base sucked dry and turn into a shriveled husk like he totally expected. Instead, he felt an incredibly pure stream of primal yin qi flow into him, like a power-up directly to the face. It totally left our boy Li Gao wide-eyed and utterly bewildered. Sudaki finally let go, then leaned in close and whispered something juicy in his ear. She explained that she practiced a yin-yang complementary cultivation technique. And get this, dual cultivation was actually beneficial for both of them. Score! After hearing that explanation, Li Gao's ultra-tense nerves finally relaxed. Bro realized she wasn't actually trying to murder him. Phew! Duh, of course not, she purred. Sudaki gave him a seductive glance. "But now that you're in my demonic sect, you gotta listen to me from now on." "Obey me? Here?" Li Gu immediately nodded so hard his head might have popped off, thinking, "As long as I don't die, I'll do literally anything." Such a good boy. Sudaki, clearly pleased, scooped him up and yeeted him onto the bed. "Tonight, I'm on top, and you're on the bottom." Meanwhile, outside the consummation chamber, someone listening to the ruckus inside couldn't help but sigh. "Trisk, Trisk," the observer muttered. "This demonic cultivator is seriously ruthless." Right on cue, the system notification blared. Ding! Detecting Li Gu family's second divine son's grand wedding successful. Consummation in progress. Congratulations, host! You've received 800 years of lifespan, the defensive imperial weapon Xuanwu Zhen Tiankai, and the special formation, Absolute Domain. What black turtle shell are you looking at? The MC's eyebrow twitched so hard it almost ascended. System, you got beef with me or something? You give this thing to Li Gao, is he ever going to be able to show his face outside again? Isn't this just openly telling it to flee for the heavens? But just as our boy was about to call it a day, a terrifying rumble suddenly ripped through the heavens. The void itself shattered with a thunderous roar as a colossal golden war chariot descended from the heavens. Perched atop this chariot was a massive banner, emblazoned with a giant, Wang, character. Right on cue, a furious roar bellowed forth from inside the war chariot. "Li Changsheng, you old fossil! You're not dead, and you dare snatch the waifu my Wang family had their eyes on?" Bro here had been cultivating for 100,000 years, all just to chase eternal life. But now, having just resurfaced from seclusion, he suddenly finds out he's only got 3 days left to live, and the only way to extend his lifespan? You guessed it, relying on his family members to marry and pop out some kids. Just then, another enraged roar echoed from the war chariot. The one who arrived? None other than the Wang family ancestor, Wang Tangfei, the Li family's sworn eternal enemy. Back in the day, this Wang Tangfei was hyped as a great emperor talent in his youth, but thanks to our boy, he spent his entire life crushed, living in the MC's shadow. Now that he sees our MC has resurfaced, this clown actually thinks he's got a shot. After years of secluded cultivation and a major breakthrough, he's just itching to flaunt his newfound power to the entire world. At this very moment, Wang Tangfei stood proudly on his golden war chariot. Furious, he pointed at our MC, berating him for being utterly shameless. Claiming his grandson, Wang Baitian, had long ago set his sights on this heavenly demon sect saintess. He even had the betrothal gifts all ready to go. And what happened? Our MC swooped in and snatched her away mid-route. Then, his rage boiling over, he spewed venomous threats. Today, if you don't hand over Sudaji and cough up 10 Emperor weapons as compensation, my Wang family will flatten this entire place. Under this terrifying pressure, everyone in the heavenly demon sect trembled like leaves, fearing the age-old truth. When gods clash, mortals suffer. But our boy? He just casually rose from the rooftop, stuck his pinky in his ear, and sported a look of utter impatience. Who's letting off gas around here? What's with all this hot air? This time, Wang Tengfei completely lost it, pointing at our MC and yelling, "Don't think just because you've revived you're all that." He smugly declared that our MC's withered chi and blood were just a dying gleam, while he was at his absolute peak, a half-step great emperor whose dignity was untouchable. Hearing half-step great emperor and absolute peak, our MC just smirked. Immediately, he decided this guy would make perfect fireworks for his granddaughters-in-law. The very next second, our MC took a single step, directly into the void itself. No fancy heaven and earth dharma manifestations, no flashy moves. He just casually raised a single hand and delivered an air-splitting, long-range slap directly at the dude. No divine abilities, no flashy theatrics, just pure, unadulterated physical power. Faced with this seemingly casual palm strike, Wang Tengfei let out a furious roar, countering with an ancient emperor first. But that mighty fist wind, upon colliding with your palm, popped like a soap bubble. Immediately after, a crisp, resounding slap echoed across the heavens and earth. Wang Tengfei, along with his golden war chariot, spun hundreds of times in the air before crashing into a distant mountain, completely flattening it. The entire scene instantly fell silent. With just one palm strike, Wang Tengfei, a half-step great emperor, was defeated. You disdainfully blew on your palm, a look of utter contempt on your face. I didn't even use my full strength, and you're already down. Looks like the villains this generation are kinda pathetic. From the rubble, Wang Tengfei crawled out, his face etched with utter disbelief. How can this be? How can you possess such power? It's obvious your lifespan is almost depleted. You let out a cold laugh, clasping your hands behind your back, instantly exuding an aura that screamed, "How could a mere mortal like you comprehend this old man's true power? Scram! Dare to bother me again, and I'll exterminate your entire lineage," you roared. The sound, like a tsunami, crashed into the Wang family's army. Instantly, all the Wang family cultivators spat out blood. Terrified, they turned tail and fled. Wang Tengfei, filled with immense hatred, spat out, 30 years Hexi, 30 years Heidong, before transforming into a streak of light and awkwardly fleeing. Watching his receding figure, you curled your lips. Villains die because they talk too much, but keeping this one alive isn't a bad idea either. After this incident, your prestige once again echoed throughout the Donghuang. Everyone realized that the invincible great emperor had truly returned, and was now even more unreasonable and protective than before. After settling matters with the outside world, you didn't pause for a moment, immediately beginning the search for your next target. Li Ergu's real name is Li Xinghe. He was nicknamed Ergu because his personality was exactly like a husky dog. His identity: a branch family genius of the Li family, a beast tamer, known for being a top-tier dog licker, strange aesthetics, and a deep obsession with fur. Not long after, you arrived at the Li family's beast garden, and just as you stepped in, you heard a passionate declaration of love. "Ah, Huang, only you truly understand me. How could those women ever compare to you? They only know how to demand spirit stones and magic treasures. Only you'll follow me for just a bone, and you even wag your tail at me." You looked closer, only to see a youth dressed in beast skins, passionately hugging a large golden dog. The golden dog, however, looked like it was at a funeral, clearly being forced to do business. For a moment your eyes burned, your stomach churned, and you couldn't help but cough a few times. The youth, Li Ergu, was startled, and hurriedly hid the golden dog behind his back. "Old ancestor, Ah Huang is just a dog. Our friendship is pure." You instantly had black lines forming on your forehead. "I have no interest in your dog, you deadpan. I ask you, our boy, you lookin' for a waifu or what?" Li Ergao flat out said no. Humans are too much trouble. And besides, they don't have fur. Doesn't feel good to touch, you know? Hearing this, your entire worldview just got rocked. What even is this logic? No fur, doesn't feel good? Bro, what kind of weird fetish reason is that? But what if I told you, there's someone with fur, drop-dead gorgeous, super strong, and can transform into human form? You're trying to tempt this man, aren't you? Grinning like a grandma wolf, trying to lure Little Red Riding Hood. Li Ergao's eyes immediately light up like he just found a cheat code. His face full of anticipation, he asks, "Is it a demon beast maiden?" "Smart boy. You snap your fingers and continue to paint him a picture, hyping him up. The third princess of the East Sea Dragon Palace. She doesn't have fur, but she has scales. Super satisfying to touch too, but I know you're not into that. So how about the Tiger Queen of the Southern Border Myriad Demon Nation? Plenty of fur and stripes. And in her beast form, she's got animal ears and a tail. Does that get your blood pumping? This time, Lier Gao gulps, practically drooling all over himself. His face utterly infatuated, he imagines his beast-eared, tailed waifu. But then, a flicker of worry. He heard the Tiger Queen is hot-headed and eats human fodder. With your old ancestor here, what's there to be afraid of, my boy? You angrily kick Lier Gao's butt, telling him to pack his bags. We're gonna catch you a tigress for a wife. Meanwhile, in the imperial palace of the Southern Border Myriad Demon Nation, furious roars echo through the halls. This is outrageous. They dare to come to my demon race and force a marriage? Tiger Queen Bai Ling, with her pristine white tiger ears and a swishing tail behind her back, is angrily slamming her throne. Dressed in tiger skin battle armor, she reveals her long, slender legs and toned abs, radiating a wild, untamed beauty. Has that Li Changsheng completely lost his mind? Can't his grandson find a single woman in the human race or something? He dares to eye this queen? This queen is a tiger, not some house cat. Below, the other demon kings are also seething with indignation, even going so far as to, oh my, future in-laws, no need to get so riled up. Right at this moment, a sinister voice rings out. You, with Lier Gao in tow, make a grand, domineering entrance. My grandson, though his name may sound like Little Dog, possesses a pure bloodline and the saintly physique of the human race. The moment Lier Gao lays eyes on Bai Ling, his eyes practically shoot lasers. He can't hold back, letting out an excited sound. The next second, the entire hall falls silent. Everyone despairingly slaps a hand to their face, inwardly screaming, "It's over! This grandson is done for." The first thing out of his mouth when meeting her? A dog's bark. Bai Ling, trembling with rage, gritted her teeth and demanded, "What did you just call out?" Lier Gao stammered back, "Your tail. It's so beautiful. Can I touch it, please?" The moment those words left his mouth, Bai Ling completely snapped. She let out a mighty roar, morphing into a gigantic white tiger and lunging forward, fangs bared and dripping with blood. But who would have thought Lier Gao, instead of running, actually spread his arms wide with an excited grin, eyes practically shining with love. Our boy, sighing helplessly, simply unleashed his imperial weapon to pin Bai Ling down, leaving Lier Gao to sort out his own mess. Whether he could snag his waifu was entirely up to his skill. Immediately after, Lier Gao charged, not to attack, but to deftly pull out a gigantic, specially crafted artifact from his storage ring. It had a glowing orb hanging from the top, swinging back and forth right in front of Bai Ling's face. In an instant, Bai Ling's ferocious, gigantic tiger eyes were completely mesmerized by the glowing orb, involuntarily tracking it like a cat with a laser pointer. To her horror, she realized her inner cat instincts had been fully activated, and her body utterly refused to listen, wanting nothing more than to pounce on that fluffy orb. This, dear viewers, was the Lu Mao Shi Ba Shi Ji Yu Di Shen Ru. Lier Gao, with a dead serious face, then declared, "Hold still, little kitty. Let me scratch your chin." Oh, so comfortable. And then, this absolute mad lad actually reached out and boldly began scratching Bai Ling's chin. What happened next completely shattered the worldview of every single demon king present. They watched as that incomparably majestic, domineering queen of the Tiger Clan, under Lier Gao's masterful petting technique, slowly closed her eyes once more, and eventually, even transformed back into human form, melting into a soft puddle in Lier Gao's arms, her face radiating pure bliss. At this moment, our boy was stunned, secretly thinking, the ultimate simp isn't just a simp, it's a beast tamer. This dude's got some serious moves. Lier Gao, holding Bai Ling, looked like he'd just won the entire damn universe, his face brimming with pure joy. He even declared right there and then that this marriage alliance, he was totally in. Even though Bai Ling suddenly snapped back to reality, her body was a snitch, refusing to leave those warm arms, and even secretly craving a few more scratches. Lier Gao gently promised her a home where she could shed her fur and get all the scratches she desired, every single day. Those words instantly made Bai Ling's face flush bright red, and the inner rage she felt magically vanished. Did our boy just get full-body cringe? Waving his hand in disgust, he told them to stop being so gross and just go get married already if they were done. Just then, the familiar ding of the system notification echoed in our boy's mind once more. Ding! Detected. Lier Gao's cross-species blind date has been successful. Reward: 1,000 years of lifespan. Received Earth-grade cultivation manual, Wanshao Tong Yuju, and the special physique, Wanshao Shenhe Ti. Seeing his lifespan skyrocket, our boy immediately grinned from ear to ear, eagerly asking, "Alright, who's up next?" But who would have thought? The Grand Elder reported that Si Chongzun was an artifact-refining fanatic who'd apparently fallen in love with a puppet and was preparing to infuse a soul into it? This news made the smile on our boy. Bro, the karma's piling up. How many more weirdos does the Lake family even have? When will these days finally end? Not long after, at the ancestral temple of the divine island Li family, auspicious mist covered the grand hall as 3 major weddings in a row sent the entire family's luck skyrocketing. Our boy was chilling, sitting cross-legged in the deepest part of the ancestral temple. Just then, the system's voice chimed in. Host has recently brought together 3 couples. Family luck increased. Reward settlement initiated. Not only did our boy receive 10 years of cultivation, but also a special divine ability. 1 glare to impregnate the opponent. Wait, what? Okay, it's only a spiritual sense attack that causes a mental illusion of pregnancy. But seriously, this is the most face-losing move ever. Plus, a fragment of an ancient secret realm key. A thunderous boom echoed as the cultivation within our boy's body roared to life. That invincible feeling from 100,000 years ago? It's slowly, surely, making its comeback. Our boy then glanced at the secret realm key fragment in his system space, thinking, an ancient secret realm? Sounds like a dungeon instance. Just then, Grand Elder Liatong burst in, beaming, "Good news!" Our boy's eyes lit up. "Another wedding?" Liatong awkwardly scratched his head, explaining that Tianhuang City was about to host a once-in-a-century grand auction. Rumor has it the main prize this time is a key to unlock the tomb of Empress Hongchen. Our boy stroked his chin, thinking, that name sounds way too familiar. Ah, right, 100,000 years ago. She was the cultivation world's richest sugar mommy, and famously single too. Apparently, before her ascension, she left behind countless dowries, just waiting for the fated ones. Lin Tong excitedly added, "Even though the Li family is rich now, supporting so many daughters-in-law means we need to get even richer." Our boy nodded in agreement. True that. Wives cost money, kids cost even more. Plus, these guys have been stuck at home for too long. These grandsons are going to turn into total weirdos if they don't get out. Time for some fresh air and adventure. The next second, our boy shot to his feet, imperial might radiating. He immediately commanded, "I'll be personally leading the team to this auction." When asked who he'd bring, our boy just smirked, deciding to drag along all 3 of those newlywed brats. Men can't spend their entire lives lost in bliss. They need a career, a pursuit. In the blink of an eye, an hour passed. In the Wang family square, 1,000 zang-long 9-dragon war chariots, forged from black gold, glinted ominously. Our boy stood, hands clasped behind his back, proudly atop the dragon's head. A flag snapped in the wind, instantly elevating his domineering aura to new, god-tier heights. But when he turned to look behind him, the sight of 3 young men sulking with their heads bowed instantly filled him with unbearable rage. There was Li Aotian, one hand on his hip, face pale with feigned weakness, whining about needing to comprehend the great yin-yang Dao. "Can I not go?" he whimpered. Li Gao, on the other hand, was armed to the teeth and plastered with stealth talismans, muttering about how Tianhuang City was too crowded. It's better to cheer from home, from a safe distance. But the most absurd was Li Ergao, with a mini white tiger riding on his neck. He was making excuses that his precious linger didn't want to go to crowded places. Our boy, without saying another word, raised his hand and gave each one a resounding smack on the ear. Then he dropped the ultimate threat. "This time, if any of you clowns disgrace the Lin family, I'll personally send you straight back into your mother's womb to respawn." Right after that, you let out a single command. The 9-dragon war chariot immediately tore through the void, hurtling towards the most bustling Tianhuang City in Zhongzhou. Our boy, who had spent 100,000 years in seclusion, just to chase immortality, only to wake up and suddenly find out he only had 3 days left to live. So to prepare a welcome gift for his future grand disciples, you decided to personally lead a team to a once-in-a-century grand auction. Meanwhile, Tianhuang City, the largest neutral city in Donghuang, was jointly managed by the Tianjiji and Wanbaolu. Outside the city, dazzling lights and countless divine streaks already illuminated the sky, with cultivators at the city gate engaged in heated discussions. Just then, the sky suddenly went dark. A suffocating, terrifying pressure suddenly descended from above. The void trembled as 9 ancient 100 Zhang flood dragons pulled a black 9-dragon war chariot, tearing through the clouds. The flying ships from major holy lands, which were already docked at the city gates, preparing to queue up for entry, looked like mere toys in front of this colossal chariot. In an instant, the crowd below erupted in endless shouts of disbelief. On his purple Qi Eastern arrival vessel, Taichu Holy Sun Yi Wu Dao roared, Who dares to be so utterly disrespectful of the rules? Flying is forbidden in Tianhuang City. Get down now. But you, our absolute unit, completely ignored him. The 9-dragon war chariot under your feet didn't slow down. Instead, it suddenly accelerated and charged forward. The next second, standing proudly on the bow of the chariot, you replied with an extremely arrogant voice. Rules, you say? My rule is to get the hell out of my way before I ram you to pieces. Yi Wudao's face immediately darkened. I am from the Taichu Holy Land. You dare cut off your head. You, standing at the bow, didn't even spare him a glance, directly piloting the 9-dragon war chariot to ram right into him. Only a massive explosion was heard as the purple Chi Eastern arrival was sent flipping several times in mid-air before crashing with a thud at the foot of the city wall. In that instant, the entire scene went dead silent. Everyone present was dumbfounded, mouths agape in disbelief. After all, who would have thought someone would dare to brazenly face-slap the Taichu Holy Land in broad daylight, and with such a brutally straightforward method? Everyone secretly speculated who this absolute madman truly was, to be so utterly arrogant. After that, the 9-dragon war chariot slowly descended at the city gate, with you leading the way, bathed in countless astonished gazes. Next, you cast a disdainful glance at Ye Wudao, who was just crawling out of the wreckage, and in a nonchalant tone, educated him, brat. Don't always rely on your background. Next time you go out, remember to check the almanac. Immediately after, you directly announced your awe-inspiring title. If you're not convinced, then just endure it. Upon hearing your name, the entire crowd instantly erupted. Thus, everyone frantically warned each other to run, terrified of catching the eye of this notorious demon lord who was out collecting future waifus. Seeing this scene, you nodded in satisfaction, then turned back to instruct your 3 grand disciples, saying, "See that? This is true swagger. When you're out later, don't learn those flirty little tricks from the girls. A big fist is the ultimate principle." Li Aotian, deep in thought, caressed his sword hilt, his eyes burning as he asked if he could just chop that dude down. Li Gaoxi shivered, worried about making enemies right off the bat and getting assassinated, so he suggested setting up a defensive array first. Meanwhile, the mini white fox in Lier Gao's arms poked its head out and let out a soft growl. In a blink, you all arrived at the Wanbao Lu, right in the heart of Tianhuang City. This was a colossal floating palace, built with spatial-grade tech, easily big enough to hold 100,000 people. The auction hall was already packed to the brim, the atmosphere absolutely buzzing, and of course you instantly snagged the Heaven Character #1 room, boasting the absolute best view. This room was originally reserved for the Taichu Sacred Temple, but you, with a single, domineering declaration of, "I am a great emperor," snatched it right out from under them. Now, in your private room, you comfortably crossed your legs, your indifferent gaze sweeping over the entire venue. Beside you, Liao Tian asked, "So, what's the target this time?" "The key to Empress Mu Hongqian's tomb, obviously," you replied. "But before that, if there are any treasures suitable for them, we shouldn't pass those up either." Right on cue, the grand auction quickly commenced. The host was a stunning Tiger Tribe woman, her figure sizzling, her voice as soft as honey, and with just a few words, she had the entire hall absolutely hyped. The first item up for bid was a quasi-emperor grade Ju Zhuan Huanghun pill, with a starting price of 100,000 spirit stones. The cultivators in the main hall below instantly erupted into a bidding frenzy. Price? PFT. But you didn't even bother to lift an eyelid, lazily spitting out just 2 words. No need. Immediately after, the Fox Tribe woman on stage unveiled the second item, a weapon once wielded by a saint prince, the golden devil-slaying envoy himself. The starting price was even higher, a staggering 500,000 spirit stones. You gave the sparkling weapon a dismissive glance, a mocking smile playing on your lips, and once again, flat-out refused. Item after item, more than a dozen so-called precious treasures in the eyes of mere mortals, were brought out. Yet to you, they were all just piles of rusty scrap. After all, you're an ancient anomaly, who survived the Golden Age from 100,000 years ago, a time when even the dirt was literal gold. Looking at the pathetic items now, you couldn't help but inwardly sigh. This generation of cultivators truly gets worse with each passing era. Just then, the host raised an ink-black, palm-sized piece of metal, mysteriously introducing it. "This item is impossibly hard, unyielding even to sacred fire." The starting price immediately soared to 1,000,000 spirit stones. Li Gao, who had been cowering in a corner of the room, drawing circles in despair, suddenly snapped his head up. His formerly lifeless eyes instantly blazed with greed. Immediately after, he was so agitated his entire body trembled, and his voice shifted. He then quickly explained, saying his intuition screamed that the item could greatly enhance his protective shell. "Ah no, it's my Xuanwu armor's defense," he corrected himself. "With it, I might even survive a great emperor's palm strike." You glanced down at the auction floor. and a flicker of surprise instantly flashed in the depths of your eyes. Unexpectedly, it's the legendary Long Wenhei Jin. Though only palm-sized, it was Alright, our boy just casually hits the bid button, mumbling, 2 million! Yeah, 2 million! Straight up doubling it, and the whole place goes dead silent. Everyone's jaws hit the floor, eyes glued to Tianzi Yihao room, secretly wondering which rich playboy just blew 2 million to flex. Who knew? Right then, a frosty voice from the adjacent Tianzi Erhao room casually drops a counterbid. Your divine sense instantly spreads out like a tsunami, covering everything. And who does it find? None other than that Taichu Shengzi, Ye Wu Dao, the same clown you casually smacked flying earlier. Next to him? Some old geezers in black robes, exuding an icy aura. Definitely a member of the Yin Yang Jiao. A cold smirk plays on your lips, and you casually raise the bid again. 3 million! Ye Wu Dao grinds his teeth, practically screaming it, determined to make you bleed him dry today. 5 million. Your voice, still calm as a dead sea, instantly sends ripples of shock through the crowd. 5 million spirit stones for a piece of junk? Is this the power of an imperial clan, or what? Inside Tianzi Erhao, Ye Wu Dao's face turns ashen. He's about to make another bid, but that black-robed old geezer behind him holds him back. After all, their real target is that ultimate key. HMPH, just let that old fool have it, the black-robed geezer advises. Ye Wu Dao, seething with resentment, slumps back into his seat. 5 million, going once. 5 million, going twice. Sold. The Fox Tribe auctioneer's high-pitched voice rings out. Bigu, clutching the Long Wenhei Jin that just got delivered, is practically in tears, bawling, "Old ancestor is magnanimous. May old ancestor live 100 years. Then you snap, "Get lost!" You irritably snap back. This old ancestor wants immortality, not 100 years. After that, the entire auction devolved into your personal flexing session. Any item your Li family grandnephews even glanced at, or anything that might butter up a potential waifu for them, you just waved a hand and bought the whole damn thing. Everyone couldn't help but wonder, bro, did this dude just dig up his ancestral graves to get rich? Or what? Spending like that and still not fearing bankruptcy? Absolute unit. Finally, the main event arrives. The Tiger Tribe auctioneer carefully brings out a delicate jade box. She opens it, revealing a crimson jade pendant, faintly radiating imperial prestige. Starting bid, 10 million spirit stones. Boom! The whole place erupts into a frenzy. This, folks, is the key to the Mudaidi. 15 million. Ye Wu Dao from Taichu Shengdi practically leaps up, his face screaming, "I got this!" 20 million. Zhao Guang Shengdi is hot on his heels. 25 million. The Zhongzhao Huang Chao isn't about to be left behind either. In a blink, the price has already shot past 50 million spirit stones. This is hundreds of years of accumulated wealth for multiple holy lands we're talking about. But you? You're still quiet, just intensely staring at that jade pendant. Yo, this look. It's giving deja vu. Our boy racking his brain, then BAM! Slaps his thigh like he just found the meaning of life. Then it hits you. Isn't this the love token jade you won off that red dust waifu back in the day? You promised her the stars, couldn't deliver, so you pawned off this jade pendant instead. Who knew she'd turn it into a damn tomb key? A rare blush creeps onto your face. Is this the legendary debt of romance? 60 million. Then Ye Wu Dao, with that smug grin like he already won, screams an astronomical price. 100 million. But the very next second, your casual declaration completely shatters the entire auction hall. What? 100 million? Everyone's losing their minds. 100 million divine stones? You'd have to sell your ancestors for that. Ye Wu Dao, shaking with rage, points a trembling finger at you and snarls, "This is a malicious bid. You can't possibly pay that. Whether I can pay or not, what business is it of yours?" You retort with a chilling smirk. Wan Baolu hasn't even batted an eye, so who the hell are you? The Wan Baolu manager rushes out, practically bowing to apologize, because, well, you're a freaking great emperor. Wan Baolu. They know the deal. Finally, the jade pendant is yours. But the moment you grab it, a familiar aura washes over you, and a clear, distant voice echoes in your mind. "You damn devil, you finally showed up!" The voice screams, and you instantly get the chills. Oh crap, this isn't some treasure vault, it's a full-blown battlefield. You glance at your 3 grandsons beside you, a sly grin spreading across your face. Ancestors' debt? Nah, you guys are paying for it. Perfect timing to drag you brats to this female emperor's tomb for some temperament. With a wave of your hand you declare, "Go forth and excavate." Wait, no, go conquer. But the moment you step out of the auction house, BAM! The sky darkens, the earth trembles, and dozens of terrifying auras descend upon you. A bunch of ancient monstrosities, their origins unknown, instantly block your path. These are old geezers who've been in seclusion for 100,000 years, all just to chase eternal life. Now, they've just awoken, only to realize they're on their last breaths. Their only hope to extend their pathetic lifespans? Marry off their family and pop out some kids. So, to prepare some welcome gifts for their future descendants. Anyway, you, our main man, decided to personally lead your squad to this once-in-a-year auction. But the moment you step out of the auction house, BAM! The sky darkens, the earth trembles, and dozens of terrifying auras descend upon you. A bunch of ancient monstrosities, their origins unknown, instantly block your path. Li Changsheng, hand over the Red Dust Empress's token and we'll let you live. It's a scrawny old man who says this, clearly on his last leg. All of you? Hearing this, you burst out laughing. A bunch of literal fodder dares to boast in front of me? Enough talk. Our boy casually flicked his right hand, tracing a line, and a dazzling golden seal appeared from the heavens. The very next second, that golden seal transformed into a massive, ancient mountain. Exuding world-shaking power, it plummeted straight towards the primeval holy sun, Ye Wu Dao. Ye Wu Dao's face went white as he frantically snapped open the fan in his hand, trying to conjure a defense, yelling, "Divine protection aura!" A massive explosion ripped through the air as the golden seal crashed down, shattering the purple cube. That seemingly impenetrable divine protection aura was instantly torn apart like tissue paper. Ye Wu Dao didn't even have time to let out a shriek, as his entire body was violently slammed by the golden seal. His fate? Unknown. This scene unfolded too fast. The old monsters, whose eyes were practically bugging out, instantly saw their pupils contract as a wave of cold dread surged in their hearts. Our boy retracted the golden seal, his indifferent gaze sweeping over the three juniors behind him. Today is your trial, got it? Except for that rat scurrying in the shadows, the rest are for the old ancestors to handle. Li Aotian stepped out first, his entire being radiating sky-piercing sword intent. A soft clang echoed, but the heavy sword in his hand wasn't swung wide. Instead, it traced an ethereal trajectory through the void, black and white Q flowing across its blade. This, folks, was the true essence Liao Tian had comprehended from the yin-yang creation scripture. Immediately after, he unleashed a sword strike, its ki like the setting sun over a vast river, possessing the might to split mountains and shatter rocks. That yin-yang sword saint, who initially wore a disdainful smirk, planning to suppress this junior with his seasoned experience? Bro, his face instantly changed when the two swords clashed. With a sharp clink, the yin-yang sword Kia he was so proud of was dissolved, layer by layer, by Li Aotian's utterly bizarre power. Immediately after, a surge of peerlessly tyrannical power rebounded right back along his sword. The yin-yang sword saint's tiger's mouth shattered, his body sent reeling back 1,000 zang, his face etched with utter disbelief. Our boy watched it all, a flicker of approval glinting in his eyes, before he casually shifted his gaze elsewhere. Over there, thick, poisonous fog billowed as the myriad poison grannies sneered, unleashing sky-filling poisonous insects, intending to devour Li Gao. But nope, in the center of the fog, a complex formation barrier rose. That, my friends, was a Xuanwu defensive array, cleverly stacked from hundreds of formation flags. And get this, it even incorporated a piece of recently auctioned dragon-patterned black gold, pushing its defense to a terrifying level. No matter how the myriad poison granny urged her venomous insects to gnaw, that formation barrier didn't budge an inch. Immediately after, Li Gao's ice-cold voice echoed from within the formation. "Old hag? Had enough yet?" The very next second, the formation shifted, and dozens of blinding lightning pillars suddenly shot out. Bro, that was a hidden killing formation Li Gu had tucked away inside his defensive array. The Nine Heavens lightning guiding array caught the myriad poison granny completely off guard, striking her black, and sending her into a miserable shriek. Our boy shook his head, a faint smile playing on his lips, thinking, this kid might be timid as a mouse, but this level of caution? Kinda reassuring. NGL. As for the third battlefield? Oh, that one was the most simple and brutal of them all. That Golden Lion King, the one who betrayed the Wan Yao kingdom, was just about to show off his might, when Bai Ling, poof, directly transformed into her true form, an illusory wing. The sheer power from that royal bloodline had the Golden Lion King shaking in its boots, every thought of resistance completely crushed. And our boy, Ling Er Gao, just had to stand there, observing that these little rascals had grown up quite a bit. Our MC then retracted his gaze, his expression slowly turning serious, as he deliberately turned to stare into a shadowy void. Though seemingly empty, his emperor's will sensed an incredibly dangerous aura lurking there, none other than the strongest assassin in this entire plot. A peak assassin, already half a foot into the Great Emperor realm. The infamous Shadow Venerable. Been enjoying the show for this long, and you're still not planning to make a move? Our legend spoke, his tone utterly casual. The very next second, the distorted shadows solidified, revealing a figure completely cloaked in black bones, clutching a pitch-black dagger. Li Changsheng, you're past your prime. At your peak, I'd back off 3 paces, but now? You're just clinging on. How many times can you even unleash your emperor's might? The Shadow Venerable's voice rasped, his ethereal form seemingly one with the very fabric of heaven and earth. Clinging on, am I? Our boy simply chuckled, his eyes shimmering with a profound understanding of the world, radiating both ancient wisdom and utter nonchalance. To dispatch a clown like you? Why would I even need to waste my emperor's might? Just foolishly embrace death. The Shadow Venerable, seething with rage, vanished in an instant, only to reappear right behind our MC. That pitch-black dagger, silent as death itself, plunged towards the MC's back, moving with a speed that seemed to transcend time itself. But our boy, unfazed, simply turned his body as a terrifying divine light suddenly blazed within his eyes. The very next second, 2 terrifying rays of light, solid as reality itself, shot directly between the Shadow Venerable's eyebrows. The Shadow Venerable, previously brimming with killing intent, suddenly froze solid, an indescribable terror instantly seizing his very soul. He was horrified to realize his primordial essence was uncontrollably surging towards his abdomen, as if some twisted, bizarre life law was forcibly crystallizing inside his gut, scaring him so badly his soul nearly fled his body, his hands instinctively clutching his belly. What kind of demonic art is this? Our MC, hands clasped behind his back, met his gaze with calm amusement. This old one, he drawled, is merely assisting you in harmonizing the yin-yang qi within your body. Upon hearing this, the Shadow Venerable opened his mouth to retort. But then a fresh wave of agony seized his gut. Immediately after, a wretched retch escaped him. This half-step great emperor, this pinnacle expert, directly crumpled to his knees in the void, clutching his belly and dry heaving without end. This utterly bizarre scene instantly stunned all the warring cultivators nearby. Just one look from our MC completely stripped a peerless expert of his battle prowess. What in the cultivation heavens is this terrifying divine ability? Our boy's gaze turned frosty. He took another deliberate step forward, his voice a chilling whisper. Oh, it's far from over. Shatter! The moment the word dropped, that sinister energy festering inside the Venerable Shadow kaboomed, utterly wrecking his Dantian and Qi. The next second, the Venerable Shadow plummeted from the sky, hitting the ground with a sickening thud, utterly devoid of life. The whole damn place instantly went dead silent. Every single cultivator who was besieging the Liai clan disciples went ghost white. One look, and a half-step great emperor was crippled? This ain't some old geezer running on fumes, what the heck? So anyone else still want the Hongchen Empress's key? Our boy asked, cool as a cucumber, completely unbothered by the chaos. Your voice wasn't loud, but it boomed in their souls like a cosmic gong. Suddenly, from who knows where, a terrified scream pierced the air. Run, you fools! Run! The leftover scrubs from Tai Chu Sacred Land and Yin-Yang Sect? They scattered faster than a flock of pigeons, gone without a trace in the blink of an eye. Poof! Glimpsing those cowardly curs, our boy couldn't even be bothered to chase Ephraim. Instead, he turned, a foxy, sly grin spreading across his face as he eyed his 3 grandsons, whose expressions were pure, unadulterated worship. What are you guys just standing there for, looking all dumbfounded? Get to it! Clean up this battlefield. Every scrap, no matter how small, is still loot. Our Lin clan might be a big deal, but that doesn't mean we can go around being wasteful now, does it? Hearing that, Li Gao was the first to react, pouncing forward like a starving tiger spotting fresh meat. Li Aotian and Li Ergao were right on his heels, expertly beginning to scoop up all the sweet, sweet loot. Our boy then pulled out that red glowing jade pendant key, a flicker of pure nostalgia flashing in his ancient eyes. Hong Chen, oh Hong Chen, he murmured. What in the actual cultivation world have you gone and left for me this time? All right, kiddos, let's roll out. The moment you gave the command, the 9-dragon war chariot ripped through the void, soaring into the heavens. So this great emperor, a real big shot, spent a whopping 100,000 years in secluded cultivation chasing after immortality, only to wake up and suddenly find out he's got 3 days left to live. Talk about a bad trip. And the only way to extend his lifespan, this absolute legend found out, was for his damn family members to get married and pop out some babies. What even is this plot? Right now, the 9-dragon war chariot sliced through the void, becoming a blazing streak of light under your command, rocketing straight towards Luofeng Slope, a solid 3,000 li outside the city. Luofeng Slope, true to its name, was the legendary spot where a true phoenix once plummeted. The whole area was perpetually shrouded in a mysterious pink mist. With a sky-shattering boom, the 9-dragon war chariot smashed through the pink mist, slowly, majestically, descending upon the highest peak of Luofeng Slope. Our boy stood tall on the chariot, hands clasped behind his back, a rare, complex emotion flickering in those ancient, world-weary eyes. Just then, Li Scao, compass clutched in hand, asked with a dead serious face. Old ancestor, what is this mist? That, my boy, is the Hongqian Yi, you explained nonchalantly, pulling your thoughts back to the present. The Hongqian Empress, her entire cultivation path was the Hongqian Dao. This mist? It's her Dao rhyme, refusing to scatter even after her death, transforming into this. If your heart holds emotion, it's potent poison. If your heart is empty of it, it's just, nothing. With that, a knowing, almost mischievous smile curved the corner of your lips. For these 3 blockheads of ours, he thought, this, poison, is probably utterly useless anyway. And sure enough, Li Aotian took a deep sniff, furrowing his brow in confusion. Besides a weird tickle in my nose, I don't feel a single thing. Meanwhile, the adorably clueless Bai Ling transformed back into her human form, immediately flopping onto Li Ergao's back and sleepily nuzzling into him. Husband, it smells so good here, Tilde, the narrator groans. You quickly cut off this utterly mistimed dog food delivery. All right, everyone, snap out of it. We need to get inside, now. With that, our boy pulled out the red jade pendant. The instant it appeared, that jade pendant let out a pure, crystal-clear phoenix cry that echoed through the misty air. The pink mist that had shrouded the hillside seemed to receive some hidden command, frantically parting to reveal a small path strewn with fallen blossoms. Following that flowery path, at its very end stood a massive, eye-popping pink palace. This entire structure was carved from what looked like pure, warm jade, with intricate curved eaves and delicate, elaborate carvings everywhere you looked. And hanging by the entrance, 2 colossal red lanterns swayed gently in the breeze. It all just radiated an indescribable, almost celebratory, joy. But wait, atop the palace, a plaque bore 3 massive characters, written with the elegance of dragons soaring and phoenixes dancing. Chao Shen Lu. The very next second, the air itself seemed to just freeze. Li Aotian, our resident young master, gawked around him. Old ancestor, did we take a wrong turn or something? This is supposed to be the Great Emperor's tomb? Bro, this is clearly a pleasure house from the mortal realm. Lin Gao, on the other hand, sucked in a cold breath and frantically backed away. A trap? It's gotta be a trap. Disguising a tomb as a pleasure house? For sure there's some ancient succubus hag inside, just waiting to drain a man's essence. Even you, old ancestor, felt your ancient face flush and a vein throb on your forehead. Hongqian, oh Hongqian, even in death, you still can't give a man some peace. You immediately recognized the script on the plaque. It was unmistakably the Hongqian Empress's own calligraphy. This wasn't just some dusty old tomb. It was clearly a lingering obsession, or perhaps a waiting game she had left behind. Enough with the chatter. We're already at the threshold. There's no turning back now. You, the absolute unit you are, forced yourself to calm down, struggling to restore that great emperor majesty. With a grand wave of your hand, you declared, "Follow this old man inside. Let's see what kind of game this little brat is playing." With that said, our boy took a decisive step, striding directly onto that small, flower-strewn path. The very instant your foot crossed the palace's grand threshold, the world around you suddenly warped. Luo Fengpo's desolate landscape vanished in an instant, replaced by a fantastical, Penglai immortal realm, where birds chirped and fragrant blossoms bloomed. Welcome to the Hongqian Heart Refining Array. A clear, gentle female voice softly echoed in everyone's ears. But plot twist. This wasn't a real person speaking. It was a manifestation of the first array, the chaotic flowers enchanting eyes formation. And just as the ethereal voice faded, the seemingly docile peach trees all around suddenly shimmered and transformed into countless, breathtakingly beautiful maidens, clad in the sheerest silk robes. Naturally, young masters, won't you come play? They cooed. Some played lutes and sang, others danced with mesmerizing grace. Every single one was impossibly seductive. Meanwhile, our main man, hands clasped behind his back, didn't even bother to crack. This low-level illusion is basically a boring shadow puppet show for you. Now the main show is how our 3 grandsons are going to handle this. We see a smoking hot illusionary demoness wrap herself around Li Aotian, her delicate hands going straight for his chest. Sword cultivator big bro. Cultivating the sword is hard. Why not cultivate joyful meditation with this one instead? But the very next second, her answer was a clear, piercing sword cry. Li Aotian, utterly expressionless, smacked the illusionary demoness straight in the face with his heavy sword, instantly turning her back into a mere scenic spot. You're blocking my view, Li Aotian uttered coldly. The spatial node here is wrong. If I use a 3-inch sword force angle, I can break this array. With that, this absolute unit actually started making hand gestures at thin air, completely ignoring the peerless beauties around him, who were desperately batting their eyelashes. Meanwhile, things got even weirder on Li Gao's side. A bunch of demonesses had surrounded that giant golden egg. "Little young master, come out," they cooed. "We're next." Suddenly, the surface of the golden egg spewed out a massive amount of white bones. The demonesses got sprayed right in the face. their beautiful countenances paling as they covered their noses and fled one by one. Over on the other side, Li Erha was riding on Bai Ling's back, blankly looking around, when an illusionary fox demoness with furry ears approached him. "Little young master, isn't my tail soft?" she purred. Li Erha barely glanced, then shook his head. "Impure fur color, split ends. And your ears are fake, right?" After that, he buried his head deep into Bai Ling's thick fur, taking a deep sniff. "Still, my waifu is the best. All natural, no pollution. One sniff, and my spirit feels refreshed." Bai Ling cooperated with a low growl, its sky-shattering might instantly scaring that fox spirit into dissipating back into scenery. In your heart, you felt both joy and helplessness. Joyfully, because these grandsons were truly relying on their own strength to stay single. Such low-level temptations couldn't even dent their emotional barriers. Helpless, because with this weird way of thinking, if you don't force them into a pairing later on, they might actually go extinct without heirs. Alright, stop messing around now. Impatiently, you waved your sleeve, and a boundless imperial aura, like a surging tide, crashed down. All that was heard was a crack, as the peach beauty's illusion shattered, the surrounding spring water instantly shattering like a mirror, turning into specks of light, before vanishing into thin air. Finally, the palace's true face was revealed. At this moment, you all stood within a massive grand hall. The hall's style was incredibly simple. Nothing but a single crystal coffin floating in the center. Beneath the crystal coffin, a spirit-springing eye pulsed, endlessly gushing out boundless spiritual energy. Hong Chen, our main character, gazed at the coffin, his eyes subtly flickering. He stepped forward, his 3 grandkids eagerly trailing behind. Li Erha, unable to contain his curiosity, blurted out, "Grandpa Ancestor, is this Empress Hong Chen's coffin?" Our protagonist offered no reply, his gaze fixed on the figure within the crystal prison. Inside lay a woman, draped in a resplendent, fiery red wedding dress. Her eyes were closed, yet her peerless beauty radiated, untouched by the passage of 100,000 years. That empress aura, simultaneously captivating all beings and proclaiming absolute supremacy, still made mortals avert their gaze. She showed no signs of decay. In fact, her life force remained unbroken, as if she were merely slumbering through an eon. And there, upon her chest, where her hands lay clasped, was the other half of a familiar crimson jade pendant. Our boy slowly drew forth his own half, gently laying it upon the other. Click! A perfect fit. The moment the jade pendant became whole, the entire grand hall erupted in a brilliant, fiery crimson glow. The very next second, the crystal coffin slowly began to slide open. A terrifying, ancient Great Emperor's might exploded outwards, instantly slamming Licaotian and his 2 companions prostrate onto the ground, unable to even twitch. A profound sigh suddenly echoed through the vast hall. Within the coffin, the Empress's eyes slowly fluttered open. Bro, imagine being a majestic Great Emperor, chilling in seclusion for 100,000 years, all for immortality, only to wake up and immediately find out you've only got 3 days left to live, and the only way to extend her precious lifespan? A family member getting married and having kids? Yeah, you heard that right. So to prep for a meet and greet with his future grand demons, our protagonist personally led a team to excavate the ancient tomb left behind by Empress Hong Chen before her ascension. But then, unexpectedly, the very next second, the crystal coffin again began to slowly creak open, and that terrifying might again slammed Licaotian and his crew face first into the dirt, utterly paralyzed. So, you finally arrive. A profound sigh again resonated through the grand hall, and the Empress within the coffin again opened her eyes. Hong Chen, our protagonist, stated calmly, "Long time no see." His voice held a hint of tenderness he himself didn't even notice. "You know it's been a long time," he added, almost a whisper. The Empress slowly, gracefully, sat up. A tragically beautiful, yet bone-chilling smile played on her lips. "You made me wait in this coffin for 100,000 years, she purred, her smile not reaching her eyes. "Didn't you promise to go pick stars for me? So where are they, huh?" At that, our protagonist's ancient face flushed beet red. He awkwardly rubbed his nose, clearly flustered. Well, that awkward moment almost made Licaotian and his 2 stunned companions, still face-planted on the floor, pop their eyeballs right out of their sockets. Wait, this is the top-tier empress from 100 millennia ago, and she's our old ancestor's sworn confidant? Bro, did he just forget his waifu was chilling in a coffin for 100,000 years? Empress Hong Chen, so utterly furious she could only laugh, slowly, majestically, stepped out of her crystal confinement. "Li Changsheng, you haven't changed one bit," she scoffed. "But it seems you still haven't taken that final, crucial step, have you?" Our protagonist met her gaze head-on, unflinching. "Even I, a great emperor, can hardly escape the relentless erosion of time," he stated. "On the contrary, You used the Hong Chen Feng Tian Shu to seal yourself away here, he countered. Was it to wait for an apology, perhaps? What good is your apology to me? Empress Hong Chen's eyes suddenly turned glacial. Without warning, she pointed a finger at the three unfortunate souls still groveling behind our protagonists. Who TF are they? Without even thinking, our boy introduces them. These are my great-grandnephews. Great-grandnephews, huh? Hong Chen Nu Di froze for a second. Then her killing intent exploded. You dared to have kids with other women behind my back? And a whole squad of them? Boom! The temperature in the main hall instantly plummeted to sub-zero levels. Our boy started sweating bullets. Misunderstanding. These are really the descendants of an adopted son I took in. Hong Chen Nu Di narrowed her eyes, looking at him suspiciously. Our boy immediately raised his hand, ready to swear on anything. If I'm telling even a single lie, may I be struck by the 5 divine thunders. But little did he know, the words barely left his mouth when, crash! A thunderous lightning bolt struck outside. The vibe in the room instantly became peak awkwardness. Hong Chen Nu Di let out a chilling sneer. Looks like even the heavens don't buy your BS. With a flick of her sleeve, she regained her empress's imposing aura. Since you're finally here, I'll stop pretending. My remnant soul won't last for much longer. Inheritance? Emperor weapons? Elixirs? I can give you all of it. But I have one condition. Hearing this, our boy immediately let out a sigh of relief. Phew. What condition? Just spit it out. Hong Chen Nu Di spoke each word with chilling clarity. I want you. Right now, marry me. Otherwise, I'll blow this entire tomb to smithereens, and we'll perish together. As those words left her mouth, our boy literally froze. The 3 nephews on the ground were even more flabbergasted. Confronted with this sudden shotgun marriage, looking at the woman who'd protected him for 100,000 years, our boy was a whirlwind of complex emotions. After a moment of stunned silence, our boy suddenly burst out laughing. All right. Isn't it just getting married? This daddy agrees. Done speaking, our boy took a step forward, firmly grasping Hong Chen Nu Di's hand, and with a domineering aura, he declared, my grand wedding, Li Changsheng's wedding, can't just be some half-assed affair in this dusty old tomb. Follow me outside. I want to declare it to the entire Zhutian Shidian. Hong Chen Nu Di is my woman. Li Changsheng will give her a wedding that shakes the very foundations of the cosmos. Not long after, in the sky above Fengpo, the towering pink bone edifice that once stood atop the mountain began to shrink, eventually landing in the palm of a woman in red. Hong Chen Nu Di, now adorned with a dazzling fengguan, draped in majestic phoenix robes. Her entire being radiated an overwhelming, terrifying might. And by her side, our boy, who just used a single glare to make a whole horde of... This time, though, he had the face of an obedient puppy. Yep, that's right, you, with your hands clasped behind your back, trying to pull off that Grand Emperor gravitas, but his stiff smile and eyes just screamed simp energy. Meanwhile, Li Aotian and his 2 pals were like 3 newborn ducklings, necks retracted, barely daring to breathe. That, right there, was Hong Chen Nu Di. The powerhouses who came to watch the drama unfold almost had their eyeballs pop out when they saw this. And then, under the utterly stunned gazes of every single cultivator in Donghuang, our boy, Yu, holding Hong Chen Nu Di's hand, stepped onto the 9-dragon war chariot. Standing atop the dragon's head, you took a deep, dramatic breath and unleashed your emperor's might. Your voice boomed, echoing across the entirety of Donghuang. Listen up, you brats, your voice thundered. Today's a good day. Not only did this emperor unearth an imperial armament at Luofengfa, but I also conveniently snatched up the Hong Chen Nu Di from 100,000 years past. After some discussion, we've decided to rekindle our fated connection and become Dao companions. In 3 days, the Changsheng Li family will host a grand wedding. The 9 heavens, 10 palaces, and myriad races are all invited to congratulate us. Anyone who doesn't show up or dares to come empty-handed, you pause dramatically right there. On purpose. And just on cue, Hong Chen Nu Di beside you let out a chilling HMPH, her world-shattering aura instantly shaking 10,000 miles of clear skies. Seizing the moment and riding on her prestige, you quickly added, means you're disrespecting my wife. Consequences are on you. Boom. 1,000 waves surged. The entire Donghuang completely erupted. They dug up a grave and found an Empress-tier waifu? Bro, what kind of god-tier manipulation is this? But back on the 9-dragon war chariot, the atmosphere was suddenly a little weird. Hong Chen Nu Di sat perched on her grandmaster's chair, her beautiful eyes scrutinizing Li Aotian and his 2 pals before her. Li Aotian and the other 2 were on their knees, cold sweat pouring down like rain. This was a living legend, a being even more ruthless than their own old ancestor. Liar Cap stiffly and tentatively called out, Great-grandma? Hong Chen Nu Di heard that, Her phoenix eyes narrowed, and murderous aura instantly erupted. "Who are you calling old? Does this empress look ancient to you?" Lai Ercap immediately shrunk into a terrified ball. Even the fur of the tiger Bai Ling in his arms stood on end. "Call her, old ancestor, or immortal sister." You, from the side, were wildly motioning to them. "Immortal sister!" The three instantly got the message. They shouted in unison. Only then did Hong Chen Nudi nod in satisfaction, pulling 3 items from her sleeve. "First time meeting, so here, take these few trinkets and go play." Clang! As a crisp impact echoed, 3 radiant treasures, glowing with glorious light, thudded heavily onto the deck of the ship. Liao Tian casually picked up a fragmented sword, and the moment his hand closed around it, a surge of sharp sword intent immediately rushed into his sea of consciousness. This is a fragment of the immortal slaying sword, and it's absolutely brimming with Supreme Sword Dao true intent. Next, Li Gao picked up a drab gray stone, and the moment his divine sense swept over it, he practically levitated. The primordial sky-mending stone. With this, my Xuanwu could even block a true immortal's strike. Meanwhile, Li Erha is clutching a dazzling radiant pearl, practically drooling puddles. The Myriad Beast Spirit Pearl. Wearing it doesn't just let you hear the cries of myriad beasts, it can even suppress bloodlines. This is just too precious, dude. The next second, the 3 clutching their treasures were moved to tears, once again shouting in unison, "Thank you, immortal fairy sister! Long live immortal fairy sister!" You, watching from the side, felt your eye twitching. Your heart was bleeding. What a prodigal squandering of treasures. Even things you craved were just handed over to these 3 good-for-nothing brats. At the same time, at the Changsheng Li family head Li Zantian was pacing anxiously in the ancestral hall with a group of elders. The old ancestor sent word he wants to have a grand wedding. What kind of chaotic mess is this? First, Elder Li Tong wore a bitter expression, his hands hanging limp. The old ancestor is already at that age, and we just celebrated a longevity banquet for his eminence. Then in the blink of an eye, the old ancestor wants to marry a wife. The entire generational hierarchy is going to be an absolute chaos. The second elder's voice also trembled. That's the legendary god of slaughter we're talking about. What if the couple quarrels one day? Will our entire clan be wiped off the map? Just as everyone was buzzing with animated discussion, a dragon's roar suddenly echoed from the heavens. The 9-dragon war chariot tore through the void, and a colossal shadow immediately enveloped the entire Lif family divine island. Li Zantian dared not delay, hastily leading all the clan disciples to kneel. You descended from the sky, holding hands with Empress Hong Chen, looking like an immortal couple. Seeing this crowd of clueless individuals still standing there dumbfounded, you immediately shot them a significant glance. "What are you idiots standing there for? Greet her!" Li Zantian, stiff-necked, let out a shout, his voice still trembling slightly. Empress Hong Chen nodded lightly, her gaze sweeping over everyone in the Li family, finally resting on several long-abandoned spirit mountains. This family seems a bit dilapidated. Li Zantian's face instantly flushed crimson. Although the Li family claimed to be an emperor clan, they had, after all, declined for 100,000 years. And now, they were indeed a bit of a mess. Forget about it. Unexpectedly, Empress Hong Chen merely raised her hand and gently waved. The Hong Chen residence she brought suddenly flew up, hovering above the Li family divine island. The next second, the massive gates swung open, and countless spirit veins, looking like colossal dragons, burst forth and furiously burrowed themselves deep into the Liang clan's territory. Then, as if that wasn't enough, innumerable divine metals, precious elixirs, and secret cultivation manuals rained down like a storm. In an instant, they completely filled the Liang clan's grand square. Talk about a haul! Consider these your dowry, San Kong Xian Nu Di stated, her tone utterly nonchalant. Also, I have 3 divine palaces out in the starry void. Later, let Zai Han Tian go claim them. The moment she finished speaking, the entire Li clan erupted into chaos. Generational hierarchies? Peerless killing gods? In the face of such supreme power, all were but fleeting clouds. Minds blown. The next morning, our boy was clutching his back as if it would snap, struggling to sit up from the bed. 100,000 years of accumulated energy, completely drained in a single night. Just then, a lazy yet crystal-clear voice rang out right next to his ear. "Husband, are you awake?" Our boy instantly froze. He mechanically turned his head, only to see Hong Chen Nu Di sitting gracefully at her dressing table, donning a loose, flowing red immortal phoenix gown, her usual domineering aura somewhat diminished and replaced by a soft, wifely tenderness. Our empress, showing her soft side, "Yo! Awake, I'm awake." Our boy awkwardly forced a laugh, desperately trying to straighten his posture. "My lady, you worked hard last night," Hong Chen Nu Di, with a smile that wasn't quite a smile, shot him a teasing glance, then slowly stood up and walked over to him. Then, she extended her jade-like finger and gently tapped him. With a soft thump, A stream of primordial power immediately surged from between her brows and poured into our boy's dried-up dantian. And Hongchen Nu Di? She acted as if it was merely an insignificant matter. She calmly stated, "Your qi and blood may have recovered, but your foundation is still severely damaged. Last night, I used my Natal Hongchen Qi to cleanse your meridians and help you restore your peak aura." Hearing these words, our boy's heart instantly warmed. He thought to himself, "This little girl may be domineering, but towards me? She's absolutely flawless." Ding! Detected. Host and Hongchen Nu Di have completed a great life union. Hidden achievement unlocked. Soft conquers hard. Rewards being calculated. Received. 3,000 years of lifespan. Special physique. Innate pure Yang Dao body. And the top-tier formation blueprint. Myriad immortals, come to court. Hearing the system's announcements, our boy was practically in tears. The innate pure Yang body. System, you finally gave me this cheat. Tonight, this old man can finally regain his glory. Then, our boy naturally grasped Hongchen Nu Di's hand, looking at her with a sincere expression. "Thank you, my lady." The corner of Hongchen Nu Di's mouth twitched into a slight smile, but she quickly suppressed it. "Our girl's practically dragging you to get dressed, cause today's the day for your grand wedding, bro. Word on the street is, those pesky bugs outside are practically salivating to watch your downfall." Hearing that, a chilling glint flickered in your eyes. Want to see a joke? Bet. They can stay and become the punchline themselves. This absolute unit, the Great Emperor, was in closed-door cultivation for a whopping 100,000 years, all for that sweet, sweet immortality. But who would have thought, the moment he woke up, the peerless empress was already at his door, basically forcing him to tie the knot. And today, bros, is the big day. Your wedding ceremony. All those big-shot powerhouses are just itching to witness the spectacle. The Lil family Divine Island? Bro, it's an absolute carnival. Countless streaks of light are zipping in from all corners of the Eastern Barrens. Sure, plenty of folks had opinions about you faking your death just to marry the Empress, but on the surface? Nobody dared to show an ounce of disrespect. Right now, Li Aotian, Li Gao, and Li Erha are chilling at the mountain gate, playing greeters. Just as they were chatting, a thunderous boom suddenly ripped through the distant sky. The once clear blue sky instantly turned dark and ominous. And what do we see? From the east, 9 Jiao dragons are pulling a colossal bronze coffin, slowly, menacingly, drifting into view. That coffin, man, it's riddled with ancient marks, reeking of a deathly aura so potent it'd make you shiver. Every single guest recoiled in horror. They recognized it. The Soul Burial Bell. A damn replica Emperor armament. The Taichu Holy Land bringing that? Bro, they're basically declaring all-out war on the Li family. Straight up beef. Then, from the west, yin-yang qi swirled, manifesting into a colossal black and white scroll, blanketing the heavens and earth. It was the Yin-Yang Sect's legendary sect-protecting treasure. The Yin-Yang life-death diagram appeared with a thunderous bellow that shook the very heavens. And behold, the Taichu Holy Lord himself, draped in shimmering purple-gold battle armor, wielding a brutal Trung Xie, standing menacingly atop that bronze coffin. And right behind him, the Yin-Yang Sect Master, the rebellious Lion King from the Myriad Demon Kingdom, and a bunch of other old monsters, their auras looking suspiciously weakened. The Taichu Holy Lord's voice cut through the air, icy and scornful. "You lied. You said the Hongchen Empress revived? Bull! She's already gone, her lamp long extinguished. Today, we're here to expose your true colors and send your sorry ass straight to the afterlife." The guests immediately erupted in whispers, each one guessing the Empress was a fake. I mean, common sense, right? How could someone dead for 100,000 years just pop back to life? But just as the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife, a crisp, clear bell chime rang out from deep within the Li family ancestral hall. Then, flowers rained from the heavens. Lotuses bloomed in the freaking void, and the great Tao itself hummed in resonance. A magnificent golden path unfurled right from the Li family's main hall, stretching straight up to the sky. The very next second, you, our main character, casually stroll out, hand in hand with the Hongchen Empress, gliding along that golden path. "Taichu, you little brat, who exactly did you say was fake?" The Hongchen Empress's vermilion lips parted ever so slightly. Her voice wasn't loud, but it hit like an Arctic blizzard, instantly freezing tens of thousands of miles around them. Just then, a sharp crack echoed. That bronze coffin beneath the Taichu Holy Lord's very feet? It just cracked under the pressure of her voice. And just like that, the entire damn place went dead silent. That kind of words become law, power, shattering something at the quasi-emperor level with just one word? Bro, who else but a true great emperor could even pull that off? Taichu Saint Lord's face went from zero to ghost, and even his mighty Chang'e trembled in his grip. "Nah," bro said. This has to be some kinda illusion. Without even a moment to catch his breath, our MC stepped forward, standing directly in front of the Hongchen Empress. He declared, "These small fries? You got carom. Oh, and while you're at it, let the whole world witness if you've truly gone soft." Yin-Yang sect masters started screaming like a banshee, boasting they had 8 quasi-emperors, and with Diping holding down the fort, they dared ask, "What are you gonna fight us with?" Our boy just sneered, slowly raising his right hand. Suddenly, all around the Li family divine island, 9,981 heaven-piercing light pillars erupted, and in the very heart of that formation, our boy was just chillin', with an ordinary red brick in his hand. "Today, this old man is gonna drop some truth bombs on you fools." No sooner did he finish, than he was instantly in front of Tai Chu Saint Lord, and that red brick in his hand? It showed zero mercy as it swung down. Boom! Tai Chu Saint Lord, body, bell and all, was sent crashing from the heavens, creating a crater so deep you couldn't even see the bottom. Our man just stood there, red brick in hand, chilling in the air like he owned the place. One absolute unit, one simple brick, against 8 quasi-emperors. What a flex. His Baki surged sky high, shaking the very cosmos. Meanwhile, down in that colossal pit, Tai Chu Saint Lord was just lying there like a defeated dog in a puddle of dirt. Even his legendary violet gold battle armor, famous for its terrifying defense, was completely shattered. Beside the pit, our boy stood, hands clasped behind his back, his gaze casually sweeping over the other 7 quasi-emperors. "Gentlemen," he declared, "Tai Chu Taoist friend just called me a faker, said I was playing games. My hands were just itching for a bit of a rumble, so I indulged him. It seems Tai Chu Taoist friend has profoundly grasped my principles, so deeply in fact he was moved to tears, and then couldn't get up off the ground. So any other Taoist friends here want to hear this old man's sermon?" Yin-Yang sect master's face, at this point, was so dark, you could practically wring rain out of it. He tried to rally his troops, claiming that our boy's last hit definitely used some kind of forbidden, self-destructive technique. He insisted our MC was just faking it, strong on the outside, hollow on the inside, just trying to scare them off. And then, some ancient monster from a life forbidden zone chimed in, SLI, theringly suggesting, "If that Hongchen Empress is truly real, her very essence is basically a lifespan-extending elixir." The moment lifespan extension was uttered, a terrifying glint of greed flickered in the eyes of the other ancient abominations. For these old geezers, whose lifespans were ticking down, survival trumped everything. The Huangjin Lion King, that absolute traitor from the 10,000 monster nation, let out a leading roar. Sound waves turned into golden tsunamis, packing countless swirling wind blades that crashed straight into our boy. Right after, Yin-Yang sect master formed hand seals, and the black and white formation diagram above his head thundered down. It morphed into a colossal yin-yang grinding mill, dead set on crushing our MC into dust. The other 5 old monsters also unleashed their personal treasures, one after another. In an instant, the void shattered, laws went haywire, and a tsunami of world-ending energy immediately swallowed our boy whole. Hongchen Empress's phoenix eyes immediately turned to ice. Just as she was about to act, a voice, your voice, drifted out from the very heart of that chaotic energy storm. Hold up, our boy's voice echoed. "If I can't even handle these measly fish and shrimp, what face would I have to even think about climbing into her bed tonight?" The words hadn't even fully left his mouth when a surge of golden supreme yang blood qi, erupting like a volcano, shot straight into the heavens, instantly scattering the dark clouds. Boom! Our boy took a single step, his entire skin turning a pale, glazed gold. This was the heavenly pure Yang Dao body the system had bestowed, making him impervious to all evil, unbreakable by any technique. His physical body achieving true sainthood, facing that sky and earth covering yin-yang diagram above him. This absolute unit didn't even bother with any divine abilities, only relying on his raw physical strength to launch a single punch. With a deafening boom, that quasi-emperor weapon, passed down for tens of thousands of years, let out a tragic wail under that single punch, before shattering into countless specks of light, scattering across the sky. The yin-yang sect master's life-bound dharma treasure was damaged, causing him to furiously cough up fresh blood as he stammered in terrified shock. How can your blood qi be so incredibly abundant?" Completely ignoring his shock, our boy's figure flickered like a phantom, instantly appearing before that golden lion king. While it was roaring with its blood basin-sized maw open, our boy raised his hand and directly tore out its throat. Then, with a sickening crack, our boy's arm exerted force, and that mountain-sized golden lion king was effortlessly lifted with one hand, like a mere chick. "Oh, you like roaring so much, huh? Then go be a hammer for this old man." With that, our boy swung the lion king, fiercely smashing it into the old monsters from the forbidden zone who were rushing towards him. The dharma treasures those old monsters unleashed? They were mercilessly battered into a chaotic mess by this thick-skinned, fat lion. The Golden Lion King, meanwhile, was just letting out tragic wails. Our guy probably wasn't fighting, he was being used as a freaking weapon. This scene was absolutely savage. The guests below watched, their jaws practically hitting the floor. Then, like tossing a sandbag, our boy forcefully flung the Golden Lion King away, right at the yin-yang Sect master, who was still furiously spitting fresh blood. With a resounding crash, the two figures collided violently in midair, instantly transforming into a shooting star, plummeting heavily into the distance. At this moment, only 5 old monsters from the Life Forbidden Zone remained in the center of the battlefield. Though they looked absolutely wretched, an even more crazed glint flashed in their eyes. The weakened old man leading them roared, "Form the formation! Deploy the immortal slaying poison array!" The next second, the 5 swiftly took their positions, simultaneously spitting out a mouthful of their primordial black blood. With an ominous hum, the void trembled, and a pitch-black grand formation instantly took shape. Following that, countless black poisonous Q surged out from within the formation, even corroding the surrounding space into gaping black holes. The weakened old man's face was now filled with smug satisfaction. This was the corpse poison they had refined in the Forbidden Zone. Bro, even a great emperor caught in this would be reduced to rotten mush, vanishing into thin air. But instead of dodging like any sane person, our boy just opens his mouth and unleashes a golden flame. That, my friends, was the Taiyang Zhen Huo, the innate divine ability of our boy Xiantian Chunyang Daoti. And just like that, the golden flame morphed into a roaring fire dragon, diving headfirst into that noxious black gas. The very next second, it was like pouring boiling oil onto a snowdrift. Those corpse poisons, supposedly strong enough to corrode even great emperors, faced against the Taiyang Zhen Huo, were utterly incinerated in less than a single breath. And get this, the fire dragon? Still perfectly intact, roaring its way straight towards those 5 old monsters. And just like that, pathetic screams echoed across the entire sky. Moments later, the flames died down, revealing just 5 glowing fragments of divine essence and, you guessed it, a few shiny storage rings floating there. Those 5 so-called quasi-emperors, who couldn't even make it to a full great emperor, were completely gone. Poof! Vanished into thin air. Our boy, ever so calmly, scoops up his loot into his storage ring, then slowly surveys the scene. His gaze finally lands on those poor, unfortunate disciples from the Taichu Sacred Land and Yin-Yang Sect who were too slow to make a run for it. Go back and tell those old geezers, who are still barely clinging to life in your sects. His voice was calm, serene even, but to every single person, it sounded like a thunderclap right next to their ear. On this joyous wedding day, I don't particularly feel like going on a massacre. Scram! One word. That's all it took. That single, scram, was an absolute, undeniable command. Those cultivators, already shaking in their boots, suddenly felt like they'd been handed a get-out-of-jail-free card. They scrammed from the Lai family Divine Island like their lives depended on it. Which, let's be real, they totally did. But the second our boy turned around to face Hong Chen Nu Di, that ruthless, "I will end you" expression? Gone. Replaced with an instant, cringeworthy look of pure flattery. Peak Sigma. "Waifu," he purrs, "I've shooed away the trash. Shall we continue our wedding ceremony now?" Hong Chen Nu Di gives a delicate nod. "Husband, please," she replies. That one word, husband, was enough to make our boy's bones turn into absolute jelly. Simp energy. All right, keep the music going," our boy exclaimed, then burst out laughing. He led Hong Chen Nu Di by the hand, strolling into the wedding hall under the worshipful gazes of all the Lia family juniors. Ding! System notification. Host has completed a world-shaking, legendary grand wedding. Congratulations, you've been awarded 5,000 years of lifespan, a family Chi Luck golden dragon, an enlightenment tea tree, and one mysterious item, a regret pill. Wait, a regret pill? Bro, what did you do? Hearing that sweet system notification in his head, soaking in the respectful gazes from all the guests, and then glancing at his peerlessly beautiful Empress waifu by his side, our boy truly felt like he'd hit peak life. This is what we call achieving true Dao. But just as our boy was about to enter the bridal chamber, ready to kick off his happy, cultivation-free life, Great Elder Li Tong suddenly bursts in, face whiter than a ghost, clutching a sound transmission talisman. Bro, why always at the worst time? Old ancestor, our boy says, clearly losing his patience. What fresh hell is it this time? Is the sky falling, old man? Our boy asks, bewildered. With a face like he just ate a lemon, Li Tong replies, It's not the sky falling, ancestor, but news has arrived from the Nanling. Third young master Li Erha. It seems he's caused some trouble. Bro, who even names their kid Li Ha? So this dignified great emperor, who'd been chillin' in closed-door cultivation for a whopping 100,000 years just to chase immortality. And what happens the second he wakes up? A peerless empress comes knocking, demanding a shotgun wedding? Talk about a rude awakening. But just as our boy was about to enter the bridal chamber, ready to kick off his happy, cultivation-free life, great elder Li Tong suddenly bursts in, face whiter than a ghost. Old ancestor, he stammered. Third young master Li Ha seems to have caused trouble. Caused trouble? Our boy blinks, completely dumbfounded. Didn't that brat just get that? Tigress? Under control? Word on the street is, on his way back, our boy passed through Baihua Valley and just happened to stumble upon their saintess taking a bath. Then he totally peaked. You probably widened your eyes, even feeling a little secretly pleased, didn't you? Secretly, you thought. This ignorant nephew actually got something right for once. Nope. Not even close. Li Tong, with a weird look on his face, continued. He didn't peek. Instead, he barged right in and snatched the saintess's divine beast. That 9-colored peacock? He plucked all its feathers out. And get this, he was yelling about making a feather duster for his waifu. Oh, that's just peachy, isn't it? So, the Baihua Valley master led a whole squad of angry grannies, cleavers in hand, right to their doorstep, demanding the Li Hua family give an explanation. You took a deep breath, but all you felt was your chest burning with pure rage. What twisted karma did the Li family accumulate to spawn such a collection of absolute weirdos? Forget it, you furiously rolled up your sleeves, muttering about some people being utterly hopeless. You shot a glance at the wedding chamber. My dear wife, rest easy for now, you declared. Your husband will go break that punk's legs, then return to attend to you. Meanwhile, at Baihua Valley, in Nanling, a famous female sect and a forbidden zone for male cultivators, tonight, this beautiful sea of flowers was utterly ravaged. Lie, family brat. You have gone way too far. Suddenly, a furious roar, brimming with murderous intent, echoed across the heavens. In mid-air, hundreds of female cultivators, adorned in vibrant floral dresses, had formed the 10,000 Huakurong Grand Array. Countless petals transformed into razor-sharp flying swords, hurtling like a tempest towards the heart of the formation. And there, Li Ha, riding atop a fully recovered white tiger, clutched a fistful of sparkling, multicolored feathers, emitting a divine glow. He was directing the white tiger to dodge while indignantly screaming, "Hey, old hag! Can you even be reasoned with? I already told you I didn't peek at your disciples bathing. And besides, what's the big deal about plucking a few feathers? That thing has so many, a few less won't make it go bald. Do you really have to be so petty about it?" The Baihua Valley master, Hua Wu Li, was so enraged she literally spat out a mouthful of old blood and slammed the dragonhead staff in her hand fiercely onto the ground. You shameless scoundrel. Not only did you brazenly barge into our forbidden hall and cause chaos, but you also forcibly plucked all the feathers from our sect-protecting divine beast. Those are the life-bound feathers of a 9-colored peacock that has cultivated for 3,000 years. And you dare call them just a few feathers? With a single command, the rain of flowers in the sky immediately turned a terrifying blood red. Even Bai Ling, that plump royal demon beast, was being beaten so badly it was screaming bloody murder. Husband, I can't take this anymore. Should we just give them back? Li Ha, his face a mask of stubborn determination, clutched the bundle of feathers even tighter to his chest. This is the 9-colored feather duster I made for my waifu. It's part of your dowry. How can I let it drop? These feathers cannot be lost. Ro saw the grand formation shrinking, withering power that could off a saint about to descend. Lier Chia and Bai Ling were basically toast. Just when things were looking grim, bam! The sky literally tore itself open with a giant rift. And then, a colossal, sky-shrouding golden hand came slamming down with pure menace. Crack! The next second, that 10,000 wilting flower grand formation, the one that could trap and kill saints, mind you, just absolutely crumbled under that colossal palm. All those fancy petal swords? Dust. Hua Wu Lei, utterly terrified, got hit with a massive backlash, reeling back dozens of steps. In a flash, our boy was there, hands casually clasped behind his back, chilling in the clouds. 100 Flowers Valley Master. Quite the grand display, aren't you? My grandson might be a total menace, but he's my menace. No outsider gets to touch him. Hua Wu Lei immediately recognized him. The Changsheng Great Emperor. Her face instantly blanched. The dragon-head staff in her hand almost slipped from her grasp. She forced down her terror, bowing low in a desperate show of respect, but in her eyes, pure dread still lingered. Great Emperor, please forgive us. It's not that we disrespect you, but your esteemed junior's actions. They were simply too much. He barged into our saintess bathing chamber, and then gravely injured our sect's divine guardian beast. If we don't get retribution for this, how can our 100 Flowers Valley ever hold its head high? Our boy's face darkened. He looked down at Li Erqia below. So, what's the deal here? Did you seriously peep on someone bathing? Total injustice, old ancestor, Li Erqia cried, holding up a pathetic clump of peacock feathers, tears practically overflowing. I was just passing through the 100 Flowers Valley, saw this peacock with a super pretty tail, and thought Ling would totally love it, so I just borrowed a few feathers. Little did I know, the saintess was having a peaceful soak in the pond right next to it. I swear, at that moment, all I saw was the peacock. Honestly, that saintess isn't even half as pretty as my Ling old ancestor. The 100 Flowers Valley saintess, now bundled in a thick robe but still flushed crimson, heard those words and nearly passed out from sheer rage. Even our boy was speechless after hearing that gem. He might have cursed Li Erqia a million times in his head, but when it came to family in front of outsiders, that protective instinct always exploded. All right, our boy declared, waving his sleeve dramatically. This old man has heard enough. This punk, despite being a few spirit stones short of a full cultivation, his crime isn't exactly a death sentence. He continued. Our boy then pulled out a jade bottle from his robes. This is a Ju Zhuan Sheng Yu Dan, and a bottle of Wan Ren Ling Ru to go with it. Feed it to that peacock. Its feathers will regrow in less than 3 days. And get this, it'll even help its bloodline evolve. As for disturbing your esteemed saintess, our boy paused, then casually tossed out an ancient tome. This is an emperor-grade yin attribute cultivation technique by Hua Liu Luan. Consider it compensation for. Hoa Wu Li clumsily grabbed the 2 items, and as her divine sense swept over them, her breath literally stopped. Imperial cultivation manuals, and even divine pills to help spirit beasts evolve? This isn't compensation. This is literally burying Bai Hua Jiyu alive with pure treasure. Her boundless rage instantly vaporized, replaced by an absolute euphoria from being insulted by such a big shot. What a Sigma move. This is simply too precious. Hoa Wu Li gulped, her attitude instantly pulling a 180. Honestly, it was just a tiny misunderstanding. Totally. Our boy was just being innocently romantic, to please his waifu, you know? That's real love right there, isn't it? The surrounding Bai Hua Jiyu disciples just stared at each other, utterly dumbfounded. Just moments ago they were ready to tear him limb from limb, and now it's true love? LOL. Turns out, money really does make the world go round. It can even command devils. Well, if it was just a misunderstanding, then this whole thing is obviously settled. Our boy couldn't be bothered to talk any more nonsense, so he just waved his big hand, scooping up Li Erha and Bai Ling into the air like a couple of baby chicks. Wait, old ancestor. Li Erha flailed in midair. My peacock transformation isn't finished yet. That damn peacock still has a single crest feather on its head. Shut your mouth. Our boy slammed a hand onto the back of his head. One more word of nonsense from you, and see what happens. Our boy. After all that, after 2 nights of intense action, coupled with the system's generous support, our boy's cultivation base has completely solidified, even vaguely brushing against the threshold of the Hongchen Xian Men. Now this is what you call living. Our boy stretched like a boss, just about to go check if those troublesome descendants were slacking off again. Suddenly, a wild system notification popped up in his head. Ding! Urgent mission activated. Detected. Host's family's luck value has skyrocketed, attracting the attention of some big-shot forces from the upper realm. Mission objective. The 4th-generation descendant is about to be born. Incoming. Host is requested to prepare to welcome the arrival of an innate, max-level human and repel the upper realm plunderers. Mission reward. Unlock the main questline for family ascension and unlock the cross-realm teleportation gate. Boom! After hearing all that, our boy halted his steps, a dangerous glint flashing in his eyes. Upper realm looters, eh? Hehe. Looks like this Donghuang can no longer contain this absolute unit. Then, our boy raised his head and gazed at the sky, his eyes piercing through the 9 heavens and 10 lands, as if seeing an even vaster world beyond. Oh, so you guys want to play? Then I'll play for keeps. Issue the order. Entire clan, assemble. Prepare for battle. This great emperor, who grandly cultivated in seclusion for 100,000 years, just to chase true immortality. Now he's just barely woken up, and already he's being eyed by those nosy upper realm forces. At this moment, 10 months have passed since that earth-shattering battle that shook Donghuang. For the past 10 months, all the great holy lands basically ghosted everyone, shutting their gates tight. Even the restless forbidden life zones, usually itching for chaos, decided to play dead, pulling a full-on disappearing act. But inside the Li family, the tension was cranked up to 11. Even worse than that time they went toe-to-toe with 8 freaking quasi-emperors. All because the divine scion, born to Fei Ling Qingshu, was almost here. This wasn't just any baby. This was the Lia family's first direct descendant in the 4th generation to drop in 100,000 years. Talk about VIP. That day, outside the Wenjian Pavilion's delivery room, the sheer aura was so intense, Randos passing by would have sworn they were holding some world-destroying fiend demon captive. You, our boy, brought Empress Hong Chen along to check out the drama. But the moment you guys showed up and saw the scene unfold, you were practically fuming to death. You just saw thousands of sharp, gleaming swords jammed into the ground all around the delivery room. Every single sword tip was aimed inward, locked right onto the main delivery room door. In the hazy void above, you could faintly hear thunder crackling. Bro, they had clearly activated a top-tier, eradicate everything, killing formation. And right in the middle of this whole setup was Li Aoshan, the soon-to-be dad, clutching a massive heavy sword, face colder than a cultivation sect's ice spirit root. This absolute unit was just glaring at the delivery room door. Empress Hong Chen, even with her vast knowledge and phoenix eyes wide, had never, ever witnessed this level of sheer insanity. She couldn't help but gasp, "Are they having a baby or, like, executing a top-tier villain in there?" Your blood pressure shot through the roof, and you completely forgot about maintaining any semblance of dignity. Charge! You then slammed a foot straight into the formation core of that absolute beast of a Wanjiang Great Formation. A massive boom echoed, and the entire formation flickered, twisting out of control. Li Aoshan's head snapped around, pure killing intent practically oozing off him. But then he saw you, and he reined it all back in, though his face was still dead serious as he told you to retreat to a safe zone ASAP. You, our boy, didn't even bother with words. Just a swift flick to Leon Aoshan's forehead. Bro, your wife is literally pushing a baby out in there, and you're out here setting up a 10,000 swords Zhu Xian formation? What in the cultivation hell is wrong with you? Li Aoshan clutched his forehead. A look of pure bewilderment and injustice plastered on his face as he started to explain. Look, from my 10 months of observation, every time the baby moved, it was packed with spirit energy and sword kwai. Clearly, we've got a peerless sword embryo in there. I was worried the kid wouldn't be able to control its internal sword Q and might accidentally injure Qingshu, or worse, pop out ready to sword fly straight into the Jianghu, causing chaos. So naturally, I set up this formation. The moment it arrives, I'll use my sword intent to suppress it. Gotta make sure it knows who its daddy is, right? You, our boy, just straight up rolled your eyes. Empress Hong Chen and the elders who had rushed over could only stare at each other, utterly flabbergasted. You couldn't help but roar, "Suppress your head, you absolute madman? That's a newborn. It doesn't even know how to walk, let alone sword fly." Who knew Li Aoshan would then mumble, "Well, I could sword fly by age 3. At this point, you just felt utterly drained, even starting to wonder if this ridiculously over-the-top Sigma male competitiveness was literally hard-coded into the Li family's DNA. Then our boy waved his hand, reclaiming the entire sword formation, only to pull out a bunch of stuff from his system inventory that completely clashed with the vibe. We're talking a pink rattle, a plushie of a fluffy spirit beast, and 10,000-year spirit milk exuding a milky aroma. Oh, and a luxurious baby carriage, intricately carved from pure divine essence. In an instant, that previously intense, egg-like space transformed into a joyous, kid-friendly playzone. Li Aotian, seeing the pink rattle, frowned so hard his eyebrows nearly fused, genuinely worried this weak stuff would erode the baby's Dao heart. Our MC was so pissed he couldn't speak, forcing Liao Tian to hold a jade bottle filled with spirit beast milk and telling him to stand still and get cultivating. 1 hour later, heaven and earth showed abnormal signs. The clear sky was suddenly engulfed by endless purple queef. Immediately after, the void trembled, and countless sword cries echoed from every corner of Donghua. Whether it was common iron or spirit artifacts, even some legendary saint artifacts that had been slumbering now automatically flew out of their sheaths. All sword tips pointed directly towards the Li Duai family, as if paying homage to an emperor. Grand Elder Li Tong was so hyped, his beard was practically vibrating. He loudly bellowed, "This is the 10,000 swords homage phenomenon. This kid is truly a born sword Dao supreme." Our MC was practically beaming with joy. "See? The system didn't lie to me. This is indeed an innate celestial tier being." However, just as everyone was anticipating, the purple Q clouds in the sky suddenly coalesced into a colossal, towering phantom. That phantom was still a baby, but it stood proudly on the clouds, with hands clasped behind its back, its eyes screaming in arrogance that declared it supreme under heaven, unique and unrivaled. Opposite it, the great Tao's laws materialized, forming countless phantoms of graceful celestial maidens, all trying to get close. What happened next shocked every single cultivator in Donghuang to their cores. That baby phantom, with a stone-cold expression, just one shot slapped away each and every one of those fairy phantoms. Immediately after, 2 lines of golden great Dao true words materialized in the void, proclaiming, "No women in my heart, only the sword leads to divinity." The first strike of the divine sword manual cleaves before any loved one. The next second, the entire Li family and all the powerhouses of Donghuang were plunged into a terrifying, deathly silence. Our MC's smile completely froze, his mouth twitching like crazy. Empress Zen clasped her forehead, letting out a helpless, exasperated sigh. It's over. This one's beyond saving. Just then, Li Aotian's eyes lit up again, so excited his whole body trembled, raising that milk bottle high. And just as he loudly shouted, as expected of, a crisp smack rang out. Our MC had swung his hand and delivered a powerful, bone-jarring slap, directly sending Li Aotian flying into the dirt. What in the cultivation world did I create? Our MC looked up at the sky, sighing so hard he was beyond tears. Is the Lian family's lineage really about to end with this 4th generation? System notification. 4th generation descendant detected. Our clan's future can't be destroyed by some absolute zero-riz dude. Mission objective. Before this little sprout grows up or gets too smart, we gotta change his entire worldview and turn him into a normal, well-adjusted man. Someone who actually knows how to be romantic. Mission reward. A one-time consumable item. Spawn anywhere. Trial card. 1 hour deadline. The system's urgent chime immediately ignited your battle spirit. Yes, this little rascal can still be saved. With proper guidance, we can totally fix his messed up personality. Just then, a booming wail finally echoed from the delivery room, but it only lasted a second before it went completely silent, replaced by an incredibly cold, childish voice, even carrying a hint of utter disdain. Who's out there screaming? You're disturbing this venerable one's sword deo comprehension. A creak echoed as the delivery room door was pushed open. A trembling midwife walked out, cradling a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes. Her face looked like she'd just seen a ghost. Worse than if she'd been crying. She stammered that it was a young master, but something about it seemed unspeakable. You weren't in the mood for her rambling nonsense, rushing closer to check. You only saw a fair-skinned, chubby, utterly adorable newborn, yet his eyes held a world-weary coldness, as if he'd already seen through the entire mortal realm. The baby glanced at you, his tiny brows furrowing slightly. That childish voice echoed directly in your mind. Old man, your beard is too unkempt. Such an exposed look makes it hard to achieve great things. You were utterly speechless. Your mouth twitched uncontrollably. Immediately after, this little squirt looked over at Li Aotian, who had just crawled up from the ground. The disgust in his eyes intensified. A sword cultivator? Holding a milk bottle? Bro, you've lost face for all of us. Hearing this, Li Aotian froze on the spot. The entire courtyard plunged into a deathly silence. Your eyes widened too, as a stampede of 10,000 spiritual beasts galloped through your mind. Is this little monster really a newborn baby? No way this is some peerless old monster who reincarnated to collect debts, right? Meanwhile, somewhere in the depths of the 9 heavens, a magnificent yet indifferent gaze pierced through the world barrier, shining straight down upon the Dong Huang Dalu. That vast world, filled with swirling immortal energy and floating palaces, was known as the Upper Realm. Within a majestic palace, adorned with countless ancient carvings of supreme immortals, a white-robed woman slowly opened her eyes. The Lower Realm. It actually gave birth to a heartless Tao body. Send down the decree. At all costs, bring this child back to the Upper Realm. Anyone who dares obstruct will be slain. No questions asked? No sooner had the words fallen than several beams of light shot out from the immortal palace, carrying an overbearing arrogance and supreme pressure directly towards the Two Realms passage. The scene cuts back to the sword-asking pavilion on the Li family's divine island. Our boy is currently holding a rattle drum, basking in a wholesome grandfather-grandson moment. Suddenly, a massive boom echoed, shaking heaven and earth, as an immense pressure, like a galaxy pouring down, instantly enveloped the entire Li family's divine island. That aura was so potent that even the Liddy family's recently condensed golden dragon of fortune let out uneasy growls. Immediately after, a female voice, like thunder from the 9 heavens, resounded in everyone's ears. You lower realm ants? Why aren't you kneeling to welcome the upper realm's envoy? Our great ancestor, who went into seclusion for 100,000 years just to pursue immortality, has just reawakened only to be eyed by upper realm forces. You lower realm ants? Why aren't you kneeling to welcome the upper realm's envoy? At this moment, a female voice, like thunder from the 9 heavens, resounded in everyone's ears. Everyone from the Lida family turned pale. However, facing this sudden anomaly, our boy showed absolutely no fear. In fact, he even carefully wiped away a milk stain from his grandson's mouth. Immediately after, our boy casually placed the milk bottle into the hands of Lin Thunshuan, who was stunned beside him, before stepping out of the room and looking up at the sky, only to see within a crack in the firmament a colossal pillar of light blasting down. Within the light pillar, a female illusory figure, wearing snow-white, ancient attire and with an indistinct face, hovered in the air. Around her, endless immortal light swirled, her eyes indifferent. She bluntly declared that she sensed a heaven-born emotionless Dao body in the lower realm, and commanded them to obediently offer up the child. After speaking, she indifferently tossed down an ice-cold command token, her actions utterly contemptuous, as if bestowing charity upon a beggar. Upon hearing this, our boy burst into laughter, then steadily reached out and caught the command token, flipping it over in his hand. The next second, a crisp crack echoed. To everyone's horror, our boy actually directly crushed the immortal invitation token into dust. Bro, where did this crazy hag even come from? Showing up in broad daylight, demanding a kid? The female illusory figure saw this and was clearly stunned for a moment, before immediately bursting into fury. Impudent! Do you know who you're talking to? Resisting the immortal palace's decree deserves the extermination of your 9 clans. Extermination of the 9 clans? Our boy let out a cold chuckle, slowly floated upwards, a colossal golden dragon illusory figure suddenly appearing behind him. That was his golden dragon Chi. With a resounding dragon's roar, shaking the heavens and clouds, he firmly pushed back the oppressive pressure from the sky. On my turf, and you dare speak of exterminating 9 clans? Our boy, eyes blazing like lightning, glares directly at the heavens. Today, even if your precious princess herself shows up and thinks she can touch anyone from the lead family, this MC will make her pay a price they'll never forget. These words completely pissed off the envoy. She didn't bother with more words, instantly unleashing a colossal finger wrapped in an aura of absolute destruction. It descended from the heavens, aiming straight for Wenjian Pavilion. But our boy didn't even flinch. Instead, a sinister smirk played on his lips. Oh, you want to fight? Alright, then let's test out my brand new baby. With that, our boy flicked his wrist. An ancient turtle shell materialized in his palm. None other than the Xuan Wu Tian Shun, a Dao artifact-grade defensive treasure the system had just blessed him with. Immediately after, our boy pulled out the Long Wenhei Jin and slammed it onto the turtle shell, instantly activating the powerful Dao patterns etched into it. The very next second, the turtle shell, originally just palm-sized, exploded in growth, transforming into an ancient divine mountain, perfectly blocking that terrifying colossal finger. A deafening, muffled boom echoed across the entire Donghuang. That world-shattering finger of destruction slammed into the turtle shell, but didn't even leave a single scratch. Instead, the counter-damage formation on the shell shattered it completely. The envoy in the sky let out a shriek of disbelief and pain as her finger's projection actually shattered. What kind of insane defensive treasure is this? As her face twisted into absolute horror, our boy, with a completely straight face, started spouting total nonsense. He declared, "This, my friend, is the ancient and peerless Wangba Kan Ludong, Hui Yu immovable mountain array. Ha! Even if you think you have a defensive Dazo artifact, I'll just wear you down to nothing." The envoy's eyes turned absolutely venomous. Her hands flew into complex seals, clearly preparing to unleash an even more devastating divine ability. Wear us down? Boy, you won't get the chance. Our boy simply shook his head. Then, our absolute unit suddenly whirled around and bellowed downwards. My dear grandson, someone's trying to snatch your milk money. Tell Granddad, what should we do about it? The Tao of Ruthlessness. The Supreme Immortal Palace. In the delivery room, a certain Li Tianyi, who had just finished his powdered milk, suddenly had a fierce aura erupt from his tiny face. This venerable one cultivates the supreme sword Dao, and this measly Dao of Ruthlessness, it thinks it's worthy to guide M.E. The very next second, a puddle of primordial chaotic energy-infused urine was unceremoniously discharged by the little one. Our boy, with lightning speed, instantly snatched the steaming, smelly, wet diaper right out of thin air, then channeled all his Dalo. This old hag, with the ambassador's artifact in hand, was about to unleash her ultimate, when suddenly, a piece of tricolored cloth zoomed past. She instinctively waved her sleeve, but who would have thought? The moment that diaper touched her immortal protective aura, the primordial chaos chi instantly blew up and a sizzling sound erupted, like concentrated sulfuric acid being poured directly onto a face. The ambassador instantly let out a gut-wrenching shriek. Right after that, her face began to rapidly corrode. This once high and mighty spirit race fairy instantly morphed into a hideous demon. I'll kill you all. The very next second, the ambassador's projection began to violently destabilize. Clearly, her main body was absolutely livid, preparing for a forced descent. Want to come down? Bro, there's no way in hell. Our boy's eyes suddenly went cold, completely dropping the playful facade he had on before. Right after that, a golden light flashed in his hand, and a gleaming golden brick appeared. This, my friends, was a supreme tier Dao weapon. Heaven-flipping brick, when they're weak, take their lives for me. As he thought this, our boy stomped the void beneath his feet, instantly appearing right above the ambassador's projection's head. He gripped that golden brick tight, aimed for her spiritual crown, and slammed it down with malicious intent. This single smash didn't just contain the vast power of the Li family's golden dragon fate, but also carried the residual might of his peak-tier cheat artifact. All that was heard was a crisp crack, the ambassador's horrified shriek, and get this, the freaking inter-realm passage itself was shattered by our boy's single brick.
My supreme immortal palace, and your Li family. We are irreconcilable. Just you wait until the realm wall between our worlds loosens. I, this venerable one, will definitely.
The ambassador's furious, unwilling roar slowly faded into the vast void.
The previously chaotic sky slowly returned to its clear, pristine blue.
Our boy, still clutching that brick, stood proudly on the clouds and flipped the bird to the heavens. Irreconcilable, you say? Alright, fine. Don't bother coming down here. Before long, I'll personally lead my people up there instead. Just watch me turn your busted-up immortal palace into a public restroom. Everyone from the Li family down below, witnessing this absolute alpha move, had their eyes wide and jaws dropped. Moments later, earth-shattering cheers erupted, shaking the very heavens. As night fell, our boy sat alone on the rooftop, idly fiddling with the primordial token he conveniently acquired from the Tai Chu Saint Son. Just then, a certain crimson silhouette, that of a true empress, silently appeared by his side. What's up, fam? Still stressing about the upper realm situation? Worried? Nah, not exactly. It's just that passively taking a beating isn't my style, Li Changsheng. He idly twirled the token in his hand, a cold, predatory smirk gracing his lips. The Taishang Star Palace definitely won't just let this slide, that's for sure. Even though the inter-realm passage was temporarily shattered, with the upper realm's vast array of methods, it won't be hard for them to descend again. Having said that, he gazed out into the distant void. I can sense quite a few rats stirring and plotting in this very lower realm. These clowns are just the upper realm's lapdogs, waiting for their chance to pounce. So you decided to give these chumps an opportunity. You rise, a devious glint in your eye. Why not let them deliver themselves right to your doorstep? Our great emperor spent 100 millennia in seclusion, all for that sweet immortality. And now, just barely awake, the upper realm forces are already here, snatching people away. What's more, their damn lapdogs are practically frothing at the mouth. But passively taking L's? Bro, that's never been your style. So you decided to give them a golden opportunity to walk right into your trap. Just one day later, earth-shattering news ripped through the entire universe. The Li Changsheng family is throwing a massive celebration for their fourth-generation holy son, Li Tianyi, in 3 days.
Word on the street is, the gifts aren't just supreme-tier Dao weapons and immortal elixirs, but also a mysterious key to the true inheritance of the Hongchen Nudi.
And if that wasn't enough, rumors claim you will pick a Dao protector and a fiancé for your grandson at the banquet. Bro, the entire cultivation world went into an absolute frenzy. Factions from every corner of the universe prepared lavish gifts and stampeded towards the Liao family. Meanwhile, in the darkest corners, some shadowy figures slowly opened their eyes. The audacity! These stupid lower realm natives actually dare to flaunt their wealth like this? Report to the upper realm. The golden opportunity has finally arrived. A heaven-shattering conspiracy against the Lingus family was quietly brewing, hidden beneath all that joyous fanfare. At this moment, you gaze at the bustling crowd, a knowing smile blooming in your heart. Come, all of you. I've already prepared a massive gift, just for you. 3 days later, the scene is set. Today, the Lin family manor is absolutely bursting with auspicious energy, radiating light for miles. 99 welcoming paths, all paved with top-grade spirit stones, stretching from the mountain gate all the way to the blue clouds. And the maids, casually serving tea? Every single one is in the dragon transformation realm. Even the gate guards are flexing, leading exotic beasts with ancient, primordial bloodlines. Even the damn tea leaves floating in the guests' cups are faintly shimmering with Dao rhythm. This scene sent guests from major holy lands and imperial dynasties across the eastern wasteland absolutely green with envy. They practically wanted to become live-in son-in-laws and cling to the Nudi's powerful thigh. Then, inside the main hall, guests packed every seat as Elder Tiner's booming voice echoed. Right on the red carpet in the center of the grand hall, a giant, glowing, warm jade plate was placed, piled high with glittering, eye-catching treasures. First up, a tiny wooden sword, lovingly carved with father's love, is like a mountain by Lin Aoshan. Second, a mini black tortoise shield, which Li Gao insisted could block a saint's full power attack. Third, a young true dragon horn that Liergu apparently just casually picked up. Fourth, the legendary Supreme Oblivion record, sparkling with starlight. But the real showstopper, attracting all eyes, was the Nudi's jade pendant, glowing with a deep red light, sitting perfectly in the center. The instant that jade pendant appeared, The lively, bustling atmosphere in the grand hall utterly froze.
Countless greedy eyes, hidden in the shadows, began to lock onto their target.
Heh. Looks like the fish have taken the bait. This absolute unit chuckled coldly to himself, but plastered on a benevolent smile, waving towards the crowd.
Bring forth our little birthday star, quickly now!
With a somewhat perfunctory cry, Ling Qingshu appeared, carrying the fair and chubby Li Tian. Li Tianyi wore an unwilling expression, thinking to himself, a heaven-born sword embryo forced to perform this childish charade in public? Utter humiliation. Tianyi, go pick something you like. Ling Qingshu gently placed the little one onto the ceremonial platter. Li Tianyi sat amidst a pile of treasures, giving them the once-over. The wooden sword? Too basic. That rustic trinket? Too country. The dragon statue? Too stiff. Only the Taishang Wang Qinglu seemed somewhat decent. But just as our boy was about to reach for the book, his gaze was suddenly snatched by a peculiar red jade pendant. Not because it was some museum key, nah, but because he acutely sensed that someone had already tampered with that jade pendant. Dare to scheme against this venerable one? You're practically begging for death.
Li Tianyi, brimming with confidence, let a cold, knowing smirk play at the corner of his lips.
And so, under the bewildered gazes of everyone, our boy abandoned the book, coordinating his tiny limbs to crawl straight for that suspicious red jade pendant.
The guests immediately erupted into continuous gasps of astonishment,
marveling that this child truly possessed the wisdom of a great emperor. But just as Li Tianyi's tiny hand was about to brush the jade, a thunderous roar suddenly ripped through the crowd. Move out! Immediately after, a series of explosive roars shook the venue. Over 18 rogue cultivators, previously chilling in the back, suddenly erupted with terrifying aura.
Dressed in black robes emblazoned with skull insignias, their aura was chillingly eerie, straight out of a horror flick. These absolute units were none other than assassins from the Huangquan men.
Oh no, this isn't good. That's the aura of a quasi-emperor. With 3 quasi-emperors making their move so abruptly, the entire venue instantly devolved into pure, unadulterated chaos. The leading black-robed figure unleashed a pitch-black formation map, immediately sealing off any escape routes for Liao Tian and Ling Qingshu, while his other hand transformed into a ghastly claw, lunging straight for Li Tianyi and that juicy jade pendant on the platter. Haha! Li Changsheng, you didn't expect your grand clan-protecting formation was already tampered with by us, did you? The black-robed fiend cackled maniacally, his eyes gleaming with victorious malice.
They were acting under direct orders from the Taishang Xiangong in the upper realm, coordinating this inside-outside ambush, all for this very thunderous, earth-shattering strike.
Yet, facing this sudden, lethal blow, our main man in the honored seat didn't even flinch. Instead, he calmly uttered 6 simple words. Li Gu, close the doors and unleash the hounds. No sooner had the words left his lips than an excited, understood, from Li Gu echoed from beneath the grand hall's floor. In that very instant, the once gleaming floor suddenly blazed to life with dense, intricate array patterns. This wasn't some basic clan-protecting grand formation at all. Oh no. This was the legendary Zhu Yuxi Diduan Ziju Zun Kun Xianzhen, painstakingly laid out by none other than Li Gao himself. As the terrifying formation roared to life, hundreds of dragon-headed spouts surrounding the grand hall suddenly began spewing forth a torrent of deadly, that was some wild poison, brewed from countless toxic herbs and venomous goo. Oh dang, poison! Hold your breath now. Our black-robed dude freaked out, trying to throw up a shield,
but a second later, they stared in horror as that toxic gas just ignored their fancy shields, creeping straight into their bodies through their freaking pores.
Li Changsheng, you coward! How dare you use poison? The head, quasi-emperor, assassin managed one final, desperate shout. Don't get cocky. We still have an ace up our sleeve. The void? What? With that, this dude crushed a talisman. A world-breaking talisman from the Shangji that could ignore spatial seals and forcibly teleport someone. The very next second, a silver pillar of light instantly swallowed up Li Tianyi on the platform. Crap! That's a spatial law. Grand Elder Li Tong's face went ghost white. Quick, stop him! This guy's been in seclusion for 100,000 years just chasing Changsheng. And now, just when he wakes up, Shangji forces are here to snatch someone? Talk about bad timing. At this very moment, a silver pillar of light instantly enveloped Li Tianyi on the platform. Crap! That's a spatial law. Grand Elder Li Tong's face turned ashen. Stop him now. But our boy? Nah, not even a flinch. No need to stop them. Come out, Dazi Duo Futa. Right after, our boy's mind stirred, and a 9-story, exquisite pagoda suddenly burst forth from between his eyebrows, instantly growing into a colossal, 100-zang behemoth, hovering above the grand hall, ready to suppress at our boy's command. The pagoda spun, unleashing 10,000 dazzling rays of golden light. That silver light pillar, initially aiming to yeet Li Tianyi away, just cracked and shattered into sparkling dust under the golden light's glare. No. How is this even possible? That's a freaking immortal talisman from the Shangji. The He Bao leader? Yeah, he just plunged into utter despair. Meanwhile, the poison gas in the Grand Hall? It was now precisely controlled by a formation, only targeting those assassins. The other guests, though pale as ghosts, were completely safe. Our boy strode up to the He Bao leader, looking down at him. "Spill it," he said. "What did the Shangji promise you losers to make you throw your lives away here?" The other guy just gritted his teeth and snorted. Clearly those benefits had sunk deep into his bones, and he was putting on a do-your-worst facade. "You want to die, huh? Nah, it ain't gonna be that easy." Our boy let out a cold chuckle, then turned his gaze to Li Tianyi on the platform. And get this, the kid was just sitting there, totally calm, clutching a jade pendant. After all that chaos, he didn't even blink. Our boy nodded, then instantly switched to a beaming smile. "Good grandson," the MC chuckled. "That scumbag over there just tried to snatch you up. What should we do with him, Tianyi looked up at our MC, then casually flicked his gaze to the black-robed leader still spasming on the dirt. And then, slowly, our boy raised his other hand, which was clutching something. It was none other than that janky wooden sword Liao Tian crafted. Then, this absolute unit actually struck a perfectly standard sword cultivator stance, gently swinging his wooden blade at the black-robed leader. Even without a speck of spiritual energy, everyone felt it. An incredibly pure and sharp will. Bro, that was heavenly sword intent. An invisible sword chi shot forth from the wooden sword, impossibly precise, cleanly snipping a single strand of hair from the black-robed man's head. The actual damage? Minimal. The humiliation? Off the charts, baby. I was just injured by a child? The black-robed leader's eyes bulged. He couldn't even process it, directly keeling over and passing out. The entire courtyard plunged into a deathly silence, before erupting into thunderous applause and shock as loud as a goddamn lightning strike. A born sword god. He's truly a born sword god. Li Aotian was practically weeping with excitement, rushing forward to scoop up his son and smother him with kisses. Li Tianyi, with pure disdain, pushed his old man's face away, sighing helplessly in his heart. Bro, he just wanted to test his skills. Who knew this piece of wood would be this brittle? With the storm calmed, the banquet continued. After that display, all the forces with ill intentions were suddenly on their best behavior, quiet as mice. The banquet wrapped up. Our MC sealed the cultivation of all the captured assassins, then unceremoniously tossed them like garbage to Li Ergao. Li Ergao scratched his head, a blank look on his face. "But boss, I don't know how to interrogate." Our MC couldn't help but roll his eyes. "Who said anything about interrogation? Haven't you been researching that? True fusion of man and beast? Beast taming technique lately? These guys are practically walking test subjects. Or, hey, why not let your little spirit beast buddies get some practice in?" Li Ergao's eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. He excitedly dragged off the entire squad of half-dead quasi-emperors. With everything handled, our boy returned to his secret chamber. He pulled out Hong Chen Nu Di's jade pendant, plus that cross-realm communication talisman he swiped from the black-robed fool. The communication talisman was already glowing faintly. Clearly, the upper realm big shots were anxiously waiting for an update. Our MC injected a wisp of spiritual energy to connect, and BAM! A solemn, hurried voice instantly boomed from the other side. "Did you succeed?" Our MC cleared his throat and instantly cursed back. "Succeed your grandma, you old geezer. I am your grandpa, Li Changsheng. Tell your precious princess to scrub her neck clean, because your daddy has already started building the cross-realm teleportation array. In less than 3 months, your daddy will lead an army up there and rip every single roof tile off your supreme elder's palace." Without waiting for a single word of rebuttal, our MC crushed the communication talisman. Just then, a new mission flashed into existence. Mission: counterattack the upper realm. Requires hosts to gather all materials for a cross-realm teleportation array within 3 months, including spatial spirit stones, void bone fragments, realm wall fragments, and more esoteric goodies. 3 months, huh? Hearing the system's stern reminder, our boy stroked his chin, his gaze drifting to a particular spot on the table. Rumor has it, that old Dragon King of the West Sea Dragon Palace has a realm wall fragment. And a daughter too, huh? Thinking this, our boy's lips curled into a subtle smirk. Hey, old third. Your blessings have arrived. Meanwhile, elsewhere, on the family's divine island, atop Shenhuo Peak, crimson light pierces the heavens year-round, with surging, fiery waves. It's also the most troublesome spot for the clan, second only to Gao Dao Peak, because this place houses a madman, none other than the Lick family's third divine son. Li Tiju, with his hands clasped behind his back, strode through the void on fiery waves, his gaze fixed on the majestic, ancient bronze grand hall. Immediately after, a deafening crash echoed. He directly unleashed a great emperor's might, violently smashing open that 100,000 Jin dragon severing stone gate. The very next second, a roar, deep as a resonating bell, thundered from deep within Shenhuo Peak. Who dares disturb this lord's crucial 9 revolutions body tempering? Immediately after, a youth, muscles bulging like coiled dragons, burst forth. Drenched in sweat, he clutched a Hunyuan Po Tianchui almost as tall as himself, with Di Xin Hong Lian Huo swirling around him. However, when he clearly saw who had arrived, that fierce aura immediately receded. But the disdain and dissatisfaction in his eyes didn't lessen one bit. Old ancestor, why aren't you enjoying bliss in Wu Raoxiang? What are you doing coming to this desolate, wretched place of mine? Li Taizhu set the massive hammer down, and our boy couldn't help but feel his lips twitch, muttering as he gazed at his own grandson. This wasn't like the divine son of an aristocratic family at all. He was clearly just a crude, boorish blacksmith. And so, our boy painstakingly forced a benevolent expression onto his face. Tizhu, stop forging already. This old ancestor has already arranged a marriage for you. She's the 3rd princess of the Shihai Longgong. They say that girl not only has a noble status, but her family is also loaded. They own mines. Nope. Li Taizhu, without a second thought, immediately refused, his eyes brimming with utter disdain. What use are weaklings like women? Immediately after, he pointed to a black iron puppet behind him, boasting with triumphant disdain. Old ancestor, look. This is the Heijin gang I just forged. Its entire body is crafted from 10,000-year profound iron. It knows no fatigue and can even block heavenly tribulations for me. Can a woman do that? Can a woman even withstand one of my hammer swings? Does a woman have such perfect ruminic patterns on her body? Hearing these words, veins popped on our boy's forehead. But he was too lazy to argue further. Instead, he directly pulled out a yellowed sheepskin scroll from his robes. Li Tizhu's previously indifferent gaze was instantly drawn. His nose even twitched, as if he just caught a whiff of a peerless treasure. Our boy casually explained, "This is a copy of the lost Jiguan Kulu Zenji from the ancient Gongshao family, which records the method for forging 12 golden figures." Li Taizhu's breathing hitched, his eyes bloodshot, looking even more hyped than if he'd just spotted a peerless waifu 10,000 times over. Seeing the fish took the bait, our boy kept reeling him in. Not only that, rumor has it that in the Shihai Longgong's treasury, there's a block of deep-sea profound iron. That's a top-tier divine material, perfect for crafting puppet joints and breathing life into inanimate objects. If I become a son-in-law of the Longgong, old ancestor, this item is as good as mine. Before our MC could even finish, Li Taizhu dropped to his knees with a loud thud. Son, for the prosperity of our family, I'll even be a son-in-law of the Longgong. Just let me into that treasure vault. Hearing this, our MC was utterly speechless. While the goal was achieved, our MC couldn't shake the feeling that this guy's motives were questionable. But hey, he was too lazy to expose him, so he just waved his hand. Alright, go pack up, wash off that sweaty stench, and we'll depart immediately. Half an hour later, above the Lima family's square, an ancient yet fiercely imposing warship hovered into the sky. This was the Po Langhao, personally modified by none other than Li Tizhu himself. Its hull was clad in thick black iron armor, flanked by massive spirit energy cannons. With a thunderous roar, the warship shot forth like an arrow from a bow, tearing through the clouds as it rocketed towards the Jinhai. Our dignified great emperor entered closed-door cultivation for 100,000 years, all in pursuit of immortality. But now, he's just woken up, only to find out he's got a mere 3 days left to live. And the only way to extend his lifespan? Rely on his direct descendants to get married and pop out some babies? Talk about family planning. So to find waifus for those quirky grandkids, our MC decided to personally intervene and propose marriage himself. Meanwhile, in the main hall of the Zhihai Longgong, old Dragon King Ao Guang sat upon his coral throne, sighing dramatically. The Zhihai Dragon Clan Grand Assembly is almost here. Those old geezers all have their children settled, but no one dares to marry my little girl. Gi Changsheng, the Turtle Prime Minister, cautiously chimed in, "Your Majesty, while the 3rd princess's personality might be a tad bit spirited, she is, after all, a true dragon bloodline. Perhaps we could host another marriage assembly? We've tried that 800 times already," Ao Guang cried out, clutching his chest in despair. Last time, the young master of the Qiyu clan came to propose, and she called him weak. Then she punched out all his teeth. Now, within a 10,000-mile radius, if you're male, and hear the name Ao Luan, you'll run faster than any fish. Is my Zhihai lineage truly doomed to die out? But just as the old Dragon King was wallowing in despair, the entire Crystal Palace suddenly shook violently. "Your Majesty, we're under attack." A panicked sea yaksha, covered in grime from patrol, crawled into the hall. It said a giant metal object just crashed into the sea, shattering 3 layers of our water-repelling barriers, and now it's charging straight for the main gate.
Who dares to intrude upon my dragon palace with such arrogance?
Ao Guang, seething with rage, grabbed his water-splitting divine fork and led a group of powerful water tribesmen rushing out.
No sooner had they exited the palace gates than they saw a black iron warship, descending like a meteor with overwhelming momentum, slamming down onto the Dragon Palace Plaza with a thundering crash.
The hatch opened, and spirit energy diffused everywhere. Our boy, leading Li Tieju, stepped out of the ship's cabin. Where is the West Sea Dragon King? Ao Guang looked closely, and a terrifying pressure, stemming from the depths of his very soul, made him shiver instantly.
Remembering the infamous reputation of Great Emperor Changsheng from days past, Ao Guang quickly swapped his furious expression for a sycophantic smile. This humble one apologizes for not recognizing the Great Emperor's arrival and failing to greet you from afar.
Forgive me, forgive me.
Our boy waved a dismissive hand, getting straight to the point.
This old man is here today to bestow a great fortune. A great fortune? Ao Guang was stunned. Our boy pulled Li Tieju, who was standing behind him, to the front. This is Li Tieju, the 3rd son of my Li family. He's born with divine strength, a true cultivation maniac. And I hear your 3rd princess is currently available?
This old man sees them as a match made in heaven, so I've specially come to propose.
The moment these words left his mouth, Ao Guang was instantly dizzied by the sheer magnitude of happiness. The grand disciple of Great Emperor Changsheng is here to propose to his violent daughter? This was truly a mountain of gold falling from the sky.
However, Ao Guang eyed Li Tieju from head to toe. This kid, though burly, didn't look like an immortal's descendant at all with his attire. He looked more like a mountain hunter.
For the Great Emperor to even consider my humble daughter is truly the West Sea's blessing. Ao Guang, though excited, still harbored some worry. It's just that my little girl has loved martial arts since childhood, with an unruly personality. She once swore an oath. Only a true martial arts prodigy will do. Looking at Li Tieju, a hint of doubt entered his eyes. Can this simple-minded kid possibly defeat my daughter, who has awakened the ancient demonic dragon bloodline? Little did he know. Li Tieju, who had been busy examining the floor tiles, suddenly lifted his head upon hearing these words, a golden light flashing in his eyes. Father-in-law, please rest assured. He stepped forward, declaring, as long as it's not sewing or embroidery, when it comes to fighting, who is this one afraid of? What's more, I've recently refined a magic treasure that's just missing a test subject for beatdowns. Quickly, send your esteemed daughter out. Ao Guang, looking at this absolute madman, was utterly speechless for a moment. This kid's EQ must have been burned to ashes in the refining furnace. Soon after, the martial arts arena was instantly packed with shrimp soldiers and crab generals, eager to witness the spectacle. In the center of the arena stood a young woman, proudly clad in purple gold dragon-scale battle armor, wielding a Fangtian Huaji. This was Ao Lufian. Though her beauty was unparalleled, a murderous aura emanated from between her brows. You're the one who wants to marry me? Agio Luan held her halberd in one hand, pointing it directly at Li Tieju. Looking at your idiotic face, this princess advises you to scram now. But Li Tieju didn't hear a word she said. Instead, he just stared wide-eyed at her battle armor, muttering, not bad material. Immediately after, he actually took 2 steps forward, reaching out a hand, intent on touching Athio Luthian's battle armor. Yo, gorgeous, hook me up with a scale, won't ya? And that halberd of yours? Mind if I take a measurement? Record scratch. The entire place went dead silent. Ao Guang just shut his eyes, knowing full well what was coming. And just like that, Ao Luthian erupted. This damn fool, asking for my dragon scale and halberd? You're literally courting death. Boom. The arena floor cracked wide open as her sky-splitting halberd, crackling with lightning, went straight for Li Tieju's head. Our dude, seeing this, furrowed his brows and was about to step in. But wait, the next moment, something wild went down. Our boy Li Tieju, facing a guaranteed kill, just grinned like a madman. Excellent. Perfect timing to test out Han Tian's new defensive puppet. With that, he tossed out a dark, metallic sphere. A series of clanks and whirs later, the sphere unfolded in the air, countless joints snapped together, and in an instant, it became a massive, 3-zang-tall humanoid golem. Li Tieju's body flickered, merging directly into the golem's chest. A low hum echoed as the golem's eyes flared crimson, and its massive, dark iron fist met the incoming sky-splitting halberd, head-on. Clang! A deafening blow, and the terrifying shockwave instantly yeeted all the surrounding fodder soldiers. Ao Luan felt an overwhelming, irresistible force slam into her, sending her flying back dozens of zang. But the dark golem? It just took half a step back, not a single scratch on its absolute unit of a body. What in the cultivation world is that? Ao Luthian stared, genuinely horrified at the steel monstrosity that emitted zero spiritual energy. Then, from inside the golem, Li Taiju's ecstatic laughter echoed. Haha, woman. Your power's alright, I guess, but your skills? Non-existent. Next up, behold my Wan Jian Qi Fa. More clanking and whirring. Then the golem's shoulders and chest burst open, revealing a dense array of openings. Immediately, countless explosive rune-etched arrows rained down like a furious storm. Aolufan's face dropped. She had no choice but to furiously swing her sky-splitting halberd, forming a desperate light barrier to block the onslaught. The very next second, the entire arena was devoured by flames. From the stands, even our main character couldn't help but nod in approval. Damn, this kid actually blended item refining and formation arts to this insane degree, he thought. Amidst the inferno, an unprecedented excitement flashed in Aoluan's usually haughty eyes. Wait, is she enjoying this? Then, with a furious roar, her body morphed. She transformed directly into a majestic 100-zang-long purple-gold divine dragon, and with another earth-shattering roar, the purple-gold divine dragon charged. Its mighty draconic body slammed directly towards that black iron golem. Meanwhile, a certain venerable great emperor, who had been in secluded cultivation for 100,000 years just to chase immortality, just woke up to find he only had 3 days left to live. And his only hope? Marrying a family member and having kids? Bro, what? Back to the fight. The purple-gold divine dragon let out another furious roar, slamming its colossal. Our boy Li Taiju, controlling his golem, charged forward without an ounce of retreat, instantly clashing with the giant dragon. Dust clouds billowed as these two absolute monstrous units went fist to scale, sparks literally flying from every brutal impact. Everyone watching was absolutely gobsmacked, their jaws practically on the floor. Bro, this ain't no mere marriage tournament, it's clearly two primordial savage beasts duking it out for territory. Half an hour later, the battle finally ended, leaving the entire Yanwu Chang a literal pile of scrap. Our boy's golem had one arm dangling, while Aolufian, back in human form, was bruised and battered, panting heavily. The two of them just lay there in the rubble, staring at each other. You're actually pretty good. Aolufian wiped a trickle of blood from the corner of her mouth, her eyes gleaming with admiration. That raw power display was all thanks to you, naturally. Our boy Li Tiju proudly puffed out his chest. Your dragon form wasn't half bad either. To actually withstand my explosive volley? Well, that's just how it is. Aoluan proudly lifted her head, then her face flushed. Hey, you big winner! I've decided. You can marry me. Li Tiju froze, scratching his head like a confused puppy. For real? So can I go to your family's treasury and snag that deep-sea darkwood then? Seeing this, our MOAAC was utterly speechless. But no matter how absolutely bonkers the whole process was, the outcome seemed to be a done deal. System notification. Detected that third grandson Li Tiju has successfully completed his marriage competition. Reward. 1 world wall fragment, 1 blueprint for a special ancient void warship, and a portion of unique ancestral family fortune. The entire clan's artifact forging success rate has been boosted by a whopping 100%. Our MC gazed at the rewards and let out a massive sigh of relief. The 3-month deadline was almost up, but finally, the materials for the teleportation array were sufficient. On the Li family's divine island Yanwu Chang, amidst thunderous roars, our MC piloted his ink-black, fiercely shaped warship, steadily landing it right in the center of the plaza. The hatch hissed open, and our MC strode out, hands clasped behind his back, exuding pure boss energy. Behind him, Li Taiju sported a silly grin, and the dragoness Aolufian, in human form, was rocking golden battle armor. Li Ergao, already waiting on his white tiger, let out a wild whistle and started hyping things up. Seeing this, our MC chuckled, playfully scolding him with a wave. Then, he dropped the playful act, his gaze sharpening, as clanhead Li Zhantian approached. Li Zhantian excitedly took a step forward. He immediately reported on the material collection status. He stated that, apart from the world wall fragment our MC had brought back, all void spirit stones and distant spiritual essences, along with all the divine origin from the treasury, had been transferred to the forbidden area of the back mountain. They were just waiting for our MC's command. Hearing this, our MC's eyes glinted with a dangerous light. Passively taking a beating was never his style. If the Tai Shang Xiangong dared to make a move, then they better be ready to lose an arm. And so, our MC decisively gave the order. Activate the Grand Clan Protection Array. Seal off the entire island. Then, he led Li Tiju and Li Ergao to the back mountain, vowing to construct nothing less than a heavenly stairway leading straight to the upper realm. In what felt like an instant, a heavenly gate had already manifested within the forbidden area of the back mountain. This spot, once brimming with the Li family's densest spirit qi, was now completely leveled, piled high with rare, mountain-sized treasures. Li Taiju, staring at that shimmering spatial boundary fragment, had eyes practically blazing with pure hype. Our boy Li Taiju swore on his ancestor's grave, just fuse this fragment into the array, combine it with the Daluo Zhao Tian teleportation array, and boom! A stable, direct highway straight to the upper realm is basically guaranteed. You nodded, a smug look on your face, then told Li Gao to handle all the security. No chaotic spatial currents. No reverse targeting by those jealous foes during the teleportation. Understood? Li Gao, radiating pure confidence, rattled off his 3 contingency plans: void reversal, deceptive misdirection, and the always popular self-destruct and blockade. Even an immortal king couldn't sniff out this path. They'd be lost in the sauce. Hearing this, you just casually waved your hand. Let's get this show on the road. And just like that, the greatest infrastructure project in the history of cultivation officially kicked off. Li Taiju, swinging his massive hammer like a boss, slammed divine crystals into the earth veins. Each thundering blow resonated with mystical rhythms, awakening the very power of the land itself. Meanwhile, Li Gao, agile as a butterfly, wove through the array cores, brandishing his formation flags and carving out arcane, mind-bending defensive runes. And you? You were just chillin', cross-legged in the void, casually summoning the Duo Z Duo Fu Pagoda and the Fan Tian Seal. These 2 absolute unit emperor weapons unleashed the might of the earth, suppressing the void and meticulously taming those chaotic spiritual energies. Fast forward to dawn on the 3rd day. The first sunbeam hits, and BAM! A soul-shattering boom echoes across the heavens and earth. Standing majestically in the back mountain was a colossal gate, 100 zang tall, forged from dark gold, its surface shimmering with starlight. This thing was built different. In its center, a pale blue, water-like shimmering screen pulsed with an intoxicating aura of spatial laws. You could practically taste the dimension hopping. Gazing upon this magnificent sight, you slowly descended, a smirk playing on your lips. Oh yeah, the time for payback was officially now. At noon, before the teleportation gate, the absolute Goliaths of the Lin family were bustling about. Even the guard dog, a golden retriever, was rocking shiny silver dog armor. Talk about drip. You stood on the high platform, scanning this utterly bizarre yet undeniably potent expeditionary force before you, barely suppressing a chuckle. Li Aotian, heavy sword strapped to his back, was cradling a literal milk-drunk baby. Apparently the spiritual energy down here was too weak, and the little one needed a taste of that upper realm essence. What a flex. Just then, Lin Tianyi, still in his freaking diapers, mind-messaged you. He'd sensed the abhorrent aura of the Taisheng Xiangong and wanted to go play with him. You turned your head, locking eyes with Li Gao. Not only was this absolute unit fully kitted out himself, but he'd also handed out turtle shells and shields to every single one of the 3,000 array masters behind him. Bro just maxed out everyone's defense stats. No cap. Even if literal heaven collapsed and earthfire erupted, they could hold the line for at least half an hour. Li Erqiu, on the other hand, was riding her white tiger queen, with a literal horde of roaring primeval beasts trailing behind her. They were all basically screaming, "We want to taste some upper realm immortal crane! Let's go!" Then there was the power couple, Li Taiju and Ao Luan, standing on the shoulders of a 30 zhang colossal puppet. Pure menace. Ao Luan, wielding her Feng Tianhua Ji, had battle intent blazing in her eyes. She flat out declared that anyone who dared block their path would have their bones snapped like twigs. Seeing this entire squad of descendants, practically bursting with battle spirit, you felt a deep satisfaction, praising them loudly for their absolute Sigma grind-set energy. But then, that characteristic smirk spread across your face. You know the one. Our boy reminded everyone, look, we're civilized people. When we hit the upper realm, it's diplomacy first, then total annihilation. And immediately, his entire clan chanted, "We remember. For love and peace, we absolutely must make the Taisheng Star Palace feel the true warmth of family." Our boy nodded in approval, then turned towards the colossal teleportation gate, letting out a soft call. The next second, the void rippled, and a crimson-robed empress materialized right beside him. She wasn't joining the main expedition. Instead, she opted to stay behind and guard the Li Mai family. She adjusted his collar, softly reminding him, "If you can't win, just crush the Jade Talisman." Our boy just cackled. Me? Take a loss? When has that ever happened? He then flung his arm towards the teleportation gate, barking, "Move out!" The very next second, with a deafening boom, the colossal army surged like a tsunami into the pale blue light barrier. Our great emperor, who had been in seclusion for 100,000 years, all for the pursuit of immortality. But now, just waking up, he's already being targeted by upper realm powers. And passively taking hits? Yeah, that's definitely not our boy's style. So what does he do? He personally leads his clan right into the fray. And today, of all days, happened to be the Changsheng Immortal Palace's once in 10,000 years severing emotions grand ceremony. On their colossal white jade plaza, tens of thousands of female cultivators were sitting cross-legged. Up on the high platform, the Taishang Palace Lord, Zhu Qing Immortal Fairy, was tirelessly brainwashing her disciples, preaching that heretical doctrine of the emotionless grand Tao. And just at that moment, the very void itself suddenly trembled with furious intensity. The once gentle immortal clouds were instantly ripped to shreds by a surge of utterly chaotic power. Then, with a deafening crack, the void shattered like glass, and a colossal black vortex ripped open in the air. The female law enforcement elder, guarding the realm, shrieked in alarm. Hundreds of flying swords instantly shot into the sky, desperate to halt this sudden, catastrophic anomaly. But the very next second, a ferocious black iron warship blasted out, and with an utterly tyrannical, domineering maneuver, it utterly shattered hundreds of flying swords. It then plummeted directly into the absolute center of the white jade plaza with a deafening crash. In an instant, smoke and dust erupted. Debris flew everywhere, sending tens of thousands of female cultivators screaming in terror, their beautiful faces paling as they scrambled back. The Taishang Palace Lord abruptly shot to her feet, her face ashen, glaring daggers at the warship. She was just about to unleash a tirade. How dare these lower realm insects? But before she could even finish her thought, the warship's hatch slowly creaked open. Our boy, casually holding the Fan Tian seal, swaggered out as if he owned the place. Oh, look at that. Everyone's already here? Right on time, too. Our boy then cleared his throat and gave a casual wave to the Taishang Palace Lord up on our high platform. Yo, heard you lot are short on men? And even tried to swipe our boys? Well, this old man has specially brought his entire family here today to give you some family warmth. Having dropped that bombshell, he turned his head to his clan and bellowed, "Ao Tian, lift your son high. Let's show these clowns the real way to activate the innate emotionless Tao body." Li Aotian, hearing his old man's command, immediately hoisted Li Tianyi, Li Tianyi, with a nonchalant expression, glanced at the flustered fairy maidens surrounding him. His spirit transmission echoed clearly everywhere. How utterly boring. This whole place reeked of old grannies. Hearing that, the supreme young lady almost spat out a mouthful of ancient blood. At her command, the entire Xuankongshan Dao suddenly shook violently. Countless ice-blue formation runes rose from the white jade ground, weaving into a giant net that blanketed the heavens and earth. In an instant, the world itself shifted, and a chilling mist descended. This grand, supreme, unfeeling great formation sealed the very void itself, not leaving a single crack. On the high platform, Taishang Gongzhu floated in the air. As her finger pointed, the Q-filled air instantly transformed into tens of thousands of ice arrows, pouring down like a collapsing galaxy, thundering straight towards you and everyone from the Lingjia. But facing an attack that could wipe out an entire imperial dynasty, our boy didn't even flinch. Instead, he just looked back at his descendants, calmly schooling them. See that? This is what they call an immortal's trick? Looks all high and mighty, but really, it's just borrowing the power of heaven and earth to bully people. Garer, defend. Though Li Gao's face was pale, his movements were lightning fast. He hurriedly summoned that Mei Xuan Wu Zhen Tian. Immediately after, a giant black light shield flew skyward, instantly transforming into a massive illusory Xuan Wu, enveloping the entire warship and you within. As a result, the tens of thousands of ice arrows slammed into the illusory Xuan Wu, only making dense clattering sounds. They couldn't even budge that light shield a single inch. Li Gao, peeking from within the formation's core, watched the numbers on the compass. His initially terrified eyes slowly turned weird. Is this seriously the attack intensity of the upper realm? It doesn't seem much stronger than the heavenly tribulation in the lower realm, does it? According to my calculations, this formation can still hold for 3 days and 3 nights. Seeing their attack was useless, a female elder from the Taishang Xianggong furiously screamed. Her whisk transformed into 3,000 white threads, striking out like spirit serpents, trying to bypass the defensive barrier to kill you. Unexpectedly, Lia Taizhu let out a cold snort, stepped forward, and controlled the giant black iron puppet at his feet, telling Io Luan to show them what's what. Aoyo Luthian, now in human form, exuded a heroic aura. Swinging the Fang Tianhua Ji in her hand, directly activated the lightning core within the warship, and the chest of that black iron puppet cracked open, revealing dense lightning spirit cannon barrels. Immediately after, countless spirit energy bullets carrying deep-sea purple lightning roared out, not only shattering the 3,000 white threads, but also exploding right in the Taishang Xianggong's formation, leaving the female disciples maintaining it, utterly flustered and gray-faced. The elders of the Taishang Xianggong had extremely ugly expressions. They never expected such an unheard-of magic treasure to be so powerful. And yet, Our MC still didn't even lift a finger. His gaze pierced through the battlefield, looking directly at Taisheng Gongzhu on the high platform, and even the Taisheng Zhu Shidian, half hidden in the clouds behind her. You felt an ancient, even more potent aura stir awake there. Li Aotian. Time to meet their saintess. Your sword Dako needs a whetstone. Hearing that, Li Aotian took a single step forward, his voice like tempered steel, his sword intent soaring to challenge the Taisheng Immortal Palace saintess. A chilling sword gleam shot out from deep within the Immortal Palace, coalescing into Taisheng's Lengyu saintess. She gave Li Aotian a disdainful look, flat out declaring that anyone whose heart is tied down can never truly master the sword Dao. But who'd have thought Li Aotian would just shake his head, his gaze unshakable, flatly stating a sword's true purpose is to protect. Immediately after, all the swords unsheathed themselves, no wind required. This time, the sword chi wasn't just sharp, it carried a heavy, mountain-like surge of grand righteous chi. The very next second, two utterly contrasting sword intents slammed into each other mid-air. And then, something truly shocking happened. The emotionless sword chi looked incomparably sharp. No lie. But when it met Li Aotian's Hongqian protector sword intent, it was like ice and snow hitting a raging inferno, melting away in an instant. Leng Yue's face completely changed, her body recoiling swiftly. She felt her emotionless Dao actually waver. Up on the high platform, the Taisheng solitary mistress finally couldn't sit still anymore. With both hands, she formed intricate seals, awakening an ancestral master Dharma idol. In a flash, the 9 heavens trembled. A colossal Dharma idol, tens of thousands of feet tall, exuding the oppressive might of a true immortal, coalesced in the skies above the Taisheng Immortal Palace. A majestic voice boomed, shaking the very clouds. The sheer sound waves alone cracked the black tortoise light shield. The Lis family disciples, faces warped in shock. Are they finally showing their true hand? You still hadn't made your move. But now, finally, you stirred. Facing that sky-high true immortal Dharma idol's oppressive might, you showed zero fear on your face. Instead, you just flashed a chilling smirk. That mighty great emperor had entered secluded cultivation for 100,000 years, all just to chase immortality. Now he'd just woken up only to be eyed by upper realm forces. But taking hits passively? Yeah, that ain't your style, is it, bro? So, you personally led your clansmen right into the fray. At this very moment, staring down that sky-high, true immortal Dharma idol and its suffocating pressure, you had not a single trace of fear on your face. Instead, you actually smiled and pulled out the myriad immortals coming to court scroll, loudly scoffing. Up there, stop acting all high and mighty. You're nothing but a mere projection, after all. If you want to play the numbers game, then all right. You then suddenly unrolled the painting scroll. A majestic surge of Emperor's chi instantly erupted. The very next second, that scroll unfurled, obscuring the heavens and covering the earth. Countless shadowy figures within it seemed to awaken. They were none other than the heroic spirit projections of powerhouses from myriad heavens and 10,000 worlds. There were old sages riding green oxen, purple queue swirling, young swordsmen drunk and singing madly, even stone Buddhas, plucking flowers and smiling serenely. Even if each phantom only held a 1/10,000th fraction of the main body's power, there were tens of thousands of them. The very next second, under our boy's command, tens of thousands of spectral warriors struck simultaneously, their divine abilities and mystical arts instantly converging into a dazzling, destructive torrent, carrying world-shattering might. It slammed head-on into that lone, true immortal Dharma idol. Everyone from the Taisheng Immortal Palace watched, utterly dumbfounded. The Taisheng Palace Master herself let out a terrified shriek, but under the assault of the 10,000 immortals, deluge, that seemingly invincible true immortal Dharma idol barely lasted 3 breaths before it was covered in cracks. Crack! The Dharma idol shattered into pieces. The trump card that the Taisheng Immortal Palace had always prided itself on became a complete joke in the face of these unconventional human sea tactics. Immediately after, our boy walked through the air, stepping towards the now pale-faced Taisheng Palace Master. He didn't directly attack, but merely looked down at her with arrogance. Now, can we have a proper conversation? In an instant, the smoke cleared. The main hall of the Taisheng Immortal Palace stood with its grand doors wide open, filled with a chilling aura of killing intent. The once high and mighty Taisheng Palace Master, along with dozens of Taisheng elders, sat slumped on the ground, their faces pale and auras weak. At the head of the great hall, our boy sat upon a cold jade throne, coldly gazing down at these once peerless female cultivators. Emotionless princess, even now, do you still have anything to say? His voice was calm, yet it resonated like a mighty bell and drum, causing the entire hall to hum. The Taisheng Palace Master let out a bitter laugh, raising her head, her eyes filled with unwillingness, but even more so, despair. She gritted her teeth and said, The victor is king, the vanquished is a bandit. I will abide by your will. But the Taishang Immortal Palace has been passed down for 10,000 years. We cultivate the Dao of supreme emotion severing. You can destroy my sect, but you cannot destroy my Dao heart, and don't even dream of us submitting to you lower realm bugs. Hearing this, our boy wasn't angered in the slightest. Instead, he chuckled lightly. True supreme emotion severing isn't heartlessness, but rather having emotions without being bound by them. But what about you all? Suddenly, he stood up, taking a single step, his terrifying aura pressing down on the female cultivators so heavily they couldn't even lift their heads. Your so-called emotion severance is nothing but evasion and fear. It's turning yourselves into cold, lifeless stones. You don't even dare to face the 7 emotions and 6 desires. You've never experienced the myriad forms of the mortal world. What transcendence are you speaking of? What great Dabia? These words struck like a heavy hammer blow to the Taishang Palace Master's mind. Her body trembled. She wanted to retort, but found she had no words to say. Today, this emperor will not kill you all. Our boy retracted his aura, returning to his throne. Not only will I not kill you, but I will also bestow upon you a great stroke of good fortune. Saying that, he waved his hand, pointing at the child, Li Tian. This baby has the heavenly, uncaring Dado physique, but he's literally still in diapers, needing care and someone to show him the ropes. From today onwards, the Taishang Star Palace shall be renamed the Hongchen Dao Palace. Your mission: cast aside your pride, enter the mortal world, and cultivate. And the very first lesson? Taking care of this baby boy and all future descendants of my Li family. What? The Taishang Palace Master's pupils shrank, and she snapped, both furious and mortified. Are you telling us, dignified immortal ladies, to become nannies? Your gaze turned razor sharp, your voice leaving no room for debate. This is the Hongchen heart tempering. Succeed, and you might just get a peek at the true immortal realm. Fail, and you're truly nothing but a bunch of useless fodder. Having said that, your eyes flashed with a cold glint. With one hand you formed a seal, and with a buzz, countless golden talismans flew from your fingertips. In an instant, they burrowed into the glabella of every female cultivator present. This is the Hongchen heart-locking charm. Harbor any evil intent, or even think about harming the baby, and your spirit and soul will be instantly obliterated. But if you sincerely grasp its meaning, this charm will become a supreme technique, helping you shatter your cultivation bottlenecks. So choose instant death, or enter the mortal world and cultivate. The Taishang Palace Master felt the golden talisman within her sea of consciousness, and an intense struggle raged within her. After a long moment, she let out a deep sigh, finally bowing her head in reluctant submission. Since our boy had taken over the Taishang Immortal Palace, it was only natural to transform this place into an unshakable fortress in the upper realm. And so, you turned to Li Taiju, a silent command in your eyes. Li Taiju's eyes blazed with zealous light, and he immediately summoned hundreds of construction puppets, kicking off a full-scale, no-holds-barred renovation of the palace. The isolation caves, once used for secluded cultivation, were utterly revamped into spirit-gathering rooms overflowing with spiritual chi. Plus, temperature-regulating formations were slapped on to ensure peak comfort for the new baby. Other cliffs, once radiating ancient, ruthless sword intent, were ground smooth. In their place, Dao comprehension diagrams brought by the Li Lai family, and vibrant, life-affirming landscape paintings that practically pulsed with energy. Meanwhile, Li Gao wasn't exactly twiddling his thumbs either. Our man Li Gu led 3,000 formation masters to tear down the entire old sect-protecting Grand Formation. What did they put in its place? Only the legendary 9 Heavens 10 Earth Black Tortoise Immovable, as a mountain Grand Formation. But just as the Taishang Immortal Palace was undergoing this bizarre yet harmonious makeover, the outside world was already in absolute chaos. The Taishang Star Palace had changed hands. The Li family, those absolute mad lads from the lower realm, had actually counterattacked the upper realm. This news? It ripped through the entire Qingming heaven of the upper realm like a Category 5 cultivation hurricane. The two closest major powers to the Taishang Immortal Palace, the Wanlong Nest and the Tianfeng Pavilion, reacted most violently. Deep within the Wanlong Nest, in a colossal dragon palace, a middle-aged man, 2 horns protruding from his head, his entire body radiating terrifying dragon might, sat with a face ashen with disbelief and rage. Those insane women actually lost? And to a bunch of mere bugs from the lower realm? This was none other than the current Dragon Lord of the Wanlong Nest, a bona fide, true immortal expert. A Dragon Clan elder below reported, Dragon Lord, according to the spies, the Lin family's methods are extremely bizarre. Moreover, it seems they're conducting some kind of Hongchen trial, practically turning those immortal ladies into nannies. Preposterous! This is an absolute disgrace to the immortal sects. The Dragon Lord slammed the table and stood up, his eyes flashing with greed. But if they could ascend from the lower realm, They must surely possess great treasures. And as for the resources of that Tai Shang Star Palace, I've been eyeing for ages now. Send someone to Ping, the Phoenix Master of the Heavenly Phoenix Pavilion. Tell her this juicy slab of prime real estate is for our 2 houses. Not long after, on the stargazing platform of the Grand Supreme Immortal Palace, our boy stood with hands clasped behind his back, a faint, knowing smirk playing on his lips. Just then, Li Gao, practically strangling his compass, sprinted over to report 2 absolutely terrifying energy signatures closing in fast. Looks like it's 80/90% the main forces of the Dragon and Phoenix clans rolling up. Our boy simply raised an eyebrow, not even bothering to turn around. How many decided to grace us with their presence, he asked, nonchalantly. Li Gao gulped, eyes wide as saucers at the compass needle, his heart doing a full-on rave. He stammered. Over 1,000 warships, and at least 2 true immortal-level powerhouses. Only 2? Hearing that number, our boy didn't show a single shred of worry. Instead, a dangerous glint flashed in his eyes. He'd just been complaining about the lack of free, high-tier labor around here. This time, I'll show these upper realm clowns what easy to invite, hard to send away really means. This great emperor, our guy, had been in seclusion for a mind-boggling 100,000 years. All for that sweet, sweet immortality. He'd barely hit snooze, and already these upper realm forces were trying to peak. But taking hits passively? Nah, that's not his vibe. So our boy personally rallied his clan members, and went straight for the send it button. At this very moment, the usually chill 9 heavens was ripped wide open by 2 completely different, yet equally terrifying, power surges. To the east, a golden aura surged, 10,000 dragons roaring out a challenge. Each massive wave concealed ferocious, colossal dragons, while to the west, a sky-high sea of flames blazed, phoenixes screaming across the 9 heavens. Countless phantom divine phoenixes painted half the sky crimson. The myriad dragon nest and heavenly phoenix pavilion, 2 peak demon forces of the upper realm, had gone full send, all to suppress the demonic path. Right after, the eastern mists ripped apart, revealing 10,000 skeletal true dragons pulling a colossal, rumbling chariot that descended with bone-shaking force. Seated on that chariot was a middle-aged man, rocking the 9-dragon imperial crown. This was Ao Zhao Chen Xian, the undisputed master of the myriad dragon nest. His eyes snapped open, a literal storm of thunder and lightning contained within them. Meanwhile, to the west, 1,000 Zhang 5-colored true phoenix shimmered, doing a quick transformation into a stunning woman in elegant palace robes, a Wutong staff clutched in her hand. This was Fengyu Zhenxian, the pavilion master of the Heavenly Phoenix Pavilion no less. Witnessing these 2 true immortals descend, backed by thousands of warships radiating pure, murderous intent, the already surrendered female cultivators of the Grand Supreme Immortal Palace immediately blanched, trembling like their lives depended on it. They legit thought the heavens were about to cave in. But just as everyone was full-on panicking, their hearts doing somersaults, a lazy voice suddenly cut through the chaos, reaching every single ear. What's all this ruckus? Can't a guy get some freaking beauty sleep around here? Everyone stared up, bewildered, only to see our boy, casually sipping a steaming cup of enlightenment tea, standing on the highest peak of the Dao Palace. He looked like he was admiring the view, keenly assessing the colossal dragon and phoenix army filling the sky. He took another leisurely sip, then turned his head to glance at Li Gao, who was still practically vibrating behind him. Lao Er, jot this down. This dragon clan's roar? Loud, perfect for a yard guard. And that phoenix clan's cry? Clear and sharp, exactly what I need. Ling Gao immediately pulled out a jade slip, dutifully noting it down, but a hint of worry creased his face. After all, those 2 leading creatures were seriously high-level cultivators. Taming them wouldn't be easy, at all. No biggie, our boy said, casually setting his teacup down. He cleared his throat. Well, 2 fellow Taoists, journeying all this way. Why bother with all this fighting and killing? Coincidentally, this old man's place is a bit short on high-tier errand runners lately. I wonder if you'd be willing to endure a little pain, let go of that precious ego, and become a dedicated, specialized mount for my Lina clan? The moment those words dropped, the entire world plunged into an eerie, deathly silence. Now Zhao Zhenxian froze. Feng Yu Zhenxian was utterly bewildered too. These 2 had lived for tens of thousands of years, heard pleas for mercy, heard curses and insults, but never, in a million years, expected someone to openly demand they pull a carriage like mere beasts. Gao Zhao Zhenxian immediately erupted in a furious roar, his dragon's might exploding outwards, shattering every cloud within a 100-mile radius. He bellowed, "If I don't rip out your tendons, By the Tiandeng Pagoda, I'm no damn dragon.
Feng Yu Zhenxian's killing intent flared to the heavens as well.
And just like that, both Zhenxian struck at the same time. A massive golden dragon claw, blotting out the sky, and a blazing Feng Yu Zhenjian,
carrying the destructive power of Dao laws,
crashed down directly upon our boy's head.
Trusk. Truly thick-skinned, aren't we? Our boy sighed softly, a casual wave of his hand behind his back. Come on out and get to work. And remember, bring 'em back alive. Dead ones are worthless, understand?
No sooner had the words left his lips than 3 figures, radiating savage power, rocketed out of the Dao Palace and into the sky.
Li Taizhu let out a battle roar, commanding the reinforced Hunyuan Po Tianqi, which slammed into the dragon claw like a freaking meteor. Beside him, Zhihai Long Nu Ao Lone manifested her half-dragon form, Feng Tianhua Ji gripped in hand, battle intent blazing in her eyes.
Gao Zhao Zhen Xian instantly recognized Ao Lone's bloodline. His eyes flashed with pure disdain. A mongrel! Impure bloodline, he sneered inwardly. But Ao Lone showed absolutely no fear. Her Fang Tianhuaji swept sideways.
Purple lightning crackled around it, ready to unleash the perfect fusion of mechanist arts and raw physical power right in his face.
Then, with a thunderous crash, an utterly shocking scene unfolded. That very same golem, the one completely devoid of spirit energy fluctuations, actually firmly withstood a Zhenxian's full-powered strike. What? Gao Zhao Zhenxian was instantly dumbfounded.
Just then, Li Taizhu's head popped out from the golem's chest.
Grinning like a maniac, he flung out a massive net woven from Fulong silk, every inch of it covered in paralyzing runes. The golem itself then unleashed 8 iron clamp-like arms, instantly locking down the dragon Zhenxian's body. The very next second, Gao Zhao Zhenxian was absolutely horrified to find he couldn't move a muscle.
Right after that, Ahuo Lone soared upwards, her Fang Tianhua Ji flipping in her grasp.
Then, with the heavy, blunt shaft of the halberd, she viciously smacked Gao Zhao Zhenxian right in the back of the neck. 1 hit, 1 KO. Gao Zhao Zhenxian's eyes immediately saw stars. Bro was out!
Meanwhile, on the other side, Feng Yu Zhenxian was facing off against Li Erqiu, who was riding a majestic Bai Hu Nu Huang. She let out a chilling sneer as 5-colored divine flames erupted from her back, forming a literal sea of fire,
ready to incinerate both the rider and the
plot twist.
Li Erqiu just casually pouted, pulled out a handful of demon-attracting divine bones from his chest, the kind that smell weird, and flicked them like they were nothing. The very next second, those originally fierce and imposing phoenix descendants caught a whiff of that scent and instinctively started making pathetic, clucking noises like farm chickens,
their eyes glued to those bone fragments. Some of them couldn't even resist, straight up lunging to peck at them.
Immediately after, Bai Ling popped off her true white tiger form, letting out a sky-shattering roar. That sovereign's roar was laced with the punitive energy of ancient gang metal.
Zhang Yu Zhenxian felt a sharp pang in his divine soul, as his sky-high sea of flames was shattered by 80 to 90%.
But get this. Li Erqiu seized the moment, flinging out 108 golden rings. He activated his myriad ring beast taming technique, perfectly lassoing every single one of those phoenixes. At his command, those noble phoenixes collectively plopped into a pre-prepared chicken coop like literal dumplings. LOL.
Seeing this absolute travesty, Feng Yu Zhenxian was so enraged his eyes nearly popped out, demanding, "You dare to cage phoenixes as mere poultry?"
But Li Erqiu, with a straight face, corrected him. These, he clarified, are rare ornamental birds. Their future duties include egg-laying, dancing, and full room and board.
Witnessing their grand army get absolutely clapped, Ao Zhao and Feng Yu finally realized they'd just smacked straight into a steel wall.
So naturally, they decided to go all in. Ao Zhao scorched his origin dragon blood, shattering all restraints. Feng Yu unleashed a fierce phoenix cry, and the two combined their powers, instantly morphing into a heaven-shattering, earth-destroying beam of light. This single attack condensed the lifelong cultivation of both true immortals. Enough power to literally punch a hole through the entire lower realm. But as that world-shaking attack screamed towards him, our boy just slowly, casually extended one hand. In his palm, an ancient formation array began to slowly churn. This was that great emperor, the one who cultivated in seclusion for 100,000 years just to chase true immortality. He just woke up, led his clan to the upper realm, and now this. And now, facing an attack that condensed the lifelong cultivation of 2 true immortals, this dude just slowly, casually extended one hand. In his palm, that ancient formation array began to churn once more. When that combined Dragon Phoenix light stream slammed into his array, it simply vanished, without a sound. Poof! Immediately after, A swirling red mist instantly enveloped both true immortals.
Inside that mist, Zhao Zhengxian found himself transformed into a literal eel, squirming in the mud. Feng Yu Zhengxian saw herself as a measly ground chicken, pecking another, bleeding from the head, all over one measly worm.
This was the legendary Hong Chen intent, directly targeting their divine souls and Dao hearts with rule-bending attacks. No, I am a noble true dragon. I can't. I am a phoenix. How could I possibly eat worms?
Both true immortals thrashed frantically in the air, their expressions deranged. And then, our boy calmly uttered two words,
a thunderous boom, and a terrifying pressure from deep within their very souls immediately descended upon them.
Ao Zhao and Feng Yu Zhengxian truly plummeted from the sky like kites with snapped strings, landing heavily on their knees in the plaza of the Hongchen Dao Palace.
The very next second, the entire plaza fell silent as death. You could literally hear a pin drop, or a breath. Our boy slowly strolled down from the observation deck, gazing down at these two once high and mighty overlords, his eyes betraying not a single ripple of emotion. Gaozer, go fetch that specialized beast-taming collar. With that, he casually pointed at the giant dragon sprawled on the ground.
Slap this big worm on, then send it to the spirit field in the back mountain to plow the fields.
And this big chicken, he then turned, his gaze now fixed on Ling Qingshu. Daughter-in-law, didn't you mention Tian Yi has been feeling a bit weak lately? I reckon this phoenix's foundation isn't bad. From now on, have it lay a phoenix egg every single day for Tian Yi to have in his egg soup. Perfect for nourishing his little body. Ao Zhao True Immortal and Feng Yu True Immortal, hearing this, were so utterly enraged, their eyes bulged, and they nearly passed out on the spot.
Our boy nodded in pure satisfaction, then turned to face the female cultivators of Hao Chen Dao Palace, who were utterly dumbfounded,
and loudly declared, "Look closely, you lot. This is the fate of anyone who dares to provoke the Li family. From this day forward, the upper realm will have no myriad dragon roost, no heavenly phoenix palace. There will only be the Lin family's first branch." In an instant, night fell. The 10,000 Muse spiritual herb garden, long abandoned in the Dabio Palace's back mountain, was covered by a thin layer of mist. This place once grew supreme forget-love flowers, but now Ling Gao has led his crew to uproot them all. They're preparing to switch to planting purple gold millet and Grand Luo immortal radish, which promise higher yields and are far more practical. Release this true immortal. A furious dragon roar ripped through the mountains, echoing far and wide, only to reveal an archaic true dragon, 1,000 zang long, its entire body adorned with shimmering purple-gold scales, yet at this moment, it was pinned to the ground like a helpless giant worm, and riding atop its massive form were none other than Li Taizhu and West Sea Dragon Girl Ao Luan. Stop struggling already! Ao Luan, holding a chain radiating runic light, painstakingly advised Ao Zhao True Immortal, while cinching it tighter around his dragon horn. This wind roar beast control lock was personally refined by my husband, fused with fragments of the world barrier. The more you struggle, the tighter it gets. If you even think about moving again, those magnificent dragon scales of yours will be utterly shredded. That absolute disgrace of a family member. That unfilial beast who utterly forgets his ancestors. Ao Zhao True Immortal, his dragon beard bristling with fury, roared, "This true immortal is the lord of myriad dragons, an esteemed true immortal, and you lot want this lord to pull a plow? How can you call this pulling a plow?" Li Taizhu seriously corrected him. "Your dragon body contains boundless power. If we don't use it for plowing, it would be a scandalous waste of resources. What's more, my primal chaos mountain opening plow has undergone a whopping 36 improvements, perfectly aligned with the flow of the great Dao. I guarantee you'll pull it lightly and comfortably." "I will not pull!" Ao Zhao True Immortal frantically thrashed, desperately trying to crash into a mountain to commit suicide and preserve his honor. Just then, our boy's unhurried voice drifted from the field ridge. "Oh? Don't want to work?" He was seen with his hands clasped behind his back, tapping a broken branch from the Enlightenment tea tree against his palm. "Fine, if you don't want to work," he drawled. "Just now, my two little brats mentioned their spirit beasts have been really craving the taste of some authentic dragon sashimi lately. Gaozer, go fetch that dragon-slaying blade over here." "Understood, boss." Li Gao, from a distance, gleefully commanded his puppets, armed with a colossal, cold-gleaming saber radiating sky-devouring killing intent, to advance. Ao Zhao Zhenxian's entire body froze, his once furious dragon form coming to an immediate halt. Our boy wasn't scared of death, but dying like this, meaninglessly, and becoming sashimi? Nah, he'd rather pull a plow. I'll plow!" Ao Zhao Zhenxian cried tears of pure humiliation, grinding his teeth as he bowed his once noble head, allowing Ao Lomon to slap that massive yoke around his neck. Now that's more like it, isn't it? You nodded in satisfaction, casually throwing out a command. Get to it! Remember, furrow straight, soil loose. Mess up, and there'll be no next world for your dinner. At Li Tiju's command, Ao Zhao Zhenxian, utterly helpless, dug in, pulling the plow, while secretly cursing the Li family's ancestors 18 generations deep. But as our boy kept plowing, things started to get subtly different. Being a dragon, Ao Zhao Zhenxian had a born-in-the-blood, almost obsessive compulsion for perfect lines and order. So when he glanced back and saw that deep furrow was, well, a bit crooked, an inexplicable wave of annoyance bubbled up inside him. This line was an abomination. Not only was it off by 3 kun, but the depth was all over the place. Unacceptable. This venerable one is the lord of 10,000 dragons. Whatever I do, I must do it to perfection. Even if it's just plowing, I'll carve out the straightest, most flawless furrow known to man. And just like that, Ao Zhao Zhenxian actively readjusted his stance. This time, our boy put his entire cultivation into it, his mighty dragon claws carving into the earth. His strength control? Absolutely god tier. A furrow, straight as if drawn by a divine ruler, perfectly consistent in depth, appeared on the ground. Ao Zhao Zhenxian spun around to gaze upon his masterpiece, instantly feeling a surge of mental clarity and a long-forgotten sense of accomplishment welling up within his dragon heart. Flawless. Now this is the standard of this venerable one. Another furrow. And it absolutely must be perfectly parallel to this one. Who would have thought that Ao Zhao Zhenxian, who just moments ago needed a literal whip, would suddenly become completely lost in the sheer joy of plowing fields? Meanwhile, over in the grand council hall of the Hongqiandao Palace, the air was so thick you could cut it with a spirit sword. You, sitting at the head, had a face so gloomy it could literally wring water. Everyone, our Li family, has just stumbled upon an unprecedented crisis. Upon hearing this, every single person present felt their face drop. Liao Tian's hand instinctively went to his sword hilt. Ancestor, what blind-ass force thinks they can pick a fight with us? Your junior will go wipe them off the map. Li Gao, worried, pulled out a stack of talismans. Wait, does our Dapio Palace's defensive formation have a secret loophole? I knew it. That damn dog hole in the south corner still needed 3 more layers of seals. Li Erqiu, meanwhile, immediately manifested his white tiger Dharma idol. Are we gonna raid some territory? Old ancestor, just point the way already. Now zip it. Our boy just watched these absolute clowns, only knowing how to brawl. He couldn't take it anymore, so he slammed that table. But the very next words out of your mouth left literally everyone absolutely gobsmacked.